Welcome to another episode of the Bastard Sermon. This is Cody Hucker coming at you live from my grandpa's basement because we fucked up the last intro real bad and I've got to re-record it because the last one was complete dog shit. Anyways, today on this episode we had on Jay Armstrong, a Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky based comedian. He is a hilarious fucking person. If you enjoy him on this episode, go check him out everywhere that you can find him by searching Jay Armstrong Comedy. You can find a bunch of his bits and his YouTube page on YouTube. You can go like his page on Facebook, Jay Armstrong Comedy, and I'm sure you could find him on a bunch of other social media platforms by searching Jay Armstrong Comedy. If you guys have the time, drop us a review. We would appreciate the fucking fuck out of it, and thank you guys so much for the love and support and reviews that you've dropped so far for us. Also, just a little disclaimer, we get into some uncomfortable topics, some shit that it might be considered insensitive to some people. If you're easily offended, then please, by all means, continue listening and send all of your hate mail to thebastardsermon@gmail.com. That's right, send your fucking hate mail to thebastardsermon@gmail.com. I hope you're offended. Fuck you if you're offended. Alright, here's Jay Armstrong plugging his dates. And as always, enjoy the episode, fuckers.
If you guys want to catch me in the Cincinnati area, I will be at Chameleon in Northside on Friday, June 1st. And then I will be at the Southgate House Revival on Saturday, June 9th. And that's really it for foreseeable future that's here. And for sure, check out Brouhaha in August. I'll definitely be on that. And that is August 24th and 25th. Brouhaha. Don't miss it. It's free. I don't know who the headliners are going to be at this year, but it probably won't be Roseanne.
Welcome to the Bastard Sermon.
Welcome to another episode of the Bastard Sermon. This is one of your three hosts, Cody Hucker.
Patrick Seta.
Luke Young.
And today we have on comedian Jay Armstrong. Say what's up, Jay, so they know what you sound like.
What's up, Jay? So they know what you sound like.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
I'm good at following directions.
Well, thanks for coming on. Woo-hoo!
All right, let's kick it right off. How the Bastard Sermon normally kicks it off with a shit video.
Yeah,
so we've got a lady. I'm sure many of you have seen it on the internet already. It's a lady inside of Tim Hortons who pulls her pants down and shits in public. So there's
furiously.
Yeah, furiously. That's a very important. Is it a verb?
Like, what the fuck are they arguing about right now?
I read that she was asking to use the bathroom and they were denying her, which is why she is justified.
She's at the counter. She's at the counter in the video, grabbing napkins, screaming, acting reckless. Now she unties this scarf thing around her waist, pulls her pants down, leans next to this barrier, takes a full fucking giant shit, and just throws it at the employees, wipes her ass, and then throws the ass wipings, pants down the entire fucking time.
Damn.
And just continues throwing it. Now, the confidence of this lady to just pull her fucking drawers down and shit, that was a powerful shit. There was a lot there. There was a big old long fucking log coming
It
out.
ran
really
down
had
the
to go.
wall. It ran down the
really
wall
had to go.
behind her.
Have you watched the slowed down version of that?
I haven't.
There
Can
is
we
a
find
slowed
that?
down. So it's actually not just like one big shit. It's like one long turd and then a little turd follows after it.
There's a couple rabbit turds that come out right after.
She forced it.
She misses the opportunity to pick those up. Those stay.
Oh no! So she could have had little pellet fucking bullets to throw.
She
at the
had 4
employees.
shots. She took her best. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
what I love the most about that video is even when you watch it slow down, she throws it so hard. You know?
She really
Like,
lunges it. She's trying to get
flung.
somebody in the back that was talking shit the whole time.
It was a little fling-a-ling-a-ding-dong right there.
For me, I don't know about you guys, but I have been frustrated enough with fast food workers to where I 100% get shit pulling your pants down, just shitting and throwing it at them like a fucking wild animal. Because I've been there before. Like, you ever get somebody else's fucking order in the drive-thru and then you hand it back to them and they look at you like you're an asshole and then they make you pull forward and wait 45 fucking minutes for 2 double cheeseburgers, you sons of bitches. Like, nothing makes me want to pull my pants down and just furiously throw shit. This lady, I mean, you can call her a crazy person if you will, but like for me, she did exactly what I've always wanted to do towards a fast food work, like some burger flipping fuck. that just like couldn't let me like your last name's not fucking McDonald's. Your last name's not Mrs. Burger King. Like, let me use the fucking bathroom without being a paying customer. I'm not taking fucking money out of your kid's mouth or food out of your kid's mouth. Like, I'm gonna throw shit at you.
So. I mean, the thing they're trying to stop now, though, is like a lot of people go into their bathroom and die from heroin overdoses.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
A lot of that.
So, I feel like it's justified to be like, nah, you gotta prove to me that you can eat right now.
Okay, yeah, that might be a good point. But if they come in nodding out on heroin, like visibly on heroin, this lady might have been on like speed or meth or something like that. Maybe it's a fast video, but she's really moving. She's really wiping that ass with some quickness. Like, I feel like she wasn't on heroin.
She did it like it wasn't her first time. Like, she has thrown poop at people many a time.
She's a flinger.
It's a regular occurrence for her.
At the very least, she planned it out. You know what I mean?
She was able to move
If they
around
fuck
with...
this up, if they don't do what I say, I'm gonna throw my shit at them.
She was able to move around with pants around her ankles very well. Wipe, throw, move around the room to avoid people. I mean, she was a professional.
Luke, would you say that she's a premeditated shitter?
110%. She knew, like, if this situation goes south, I know exactly what I'm doing.
How would you fucking break that down in court to the judge that's asking you about why you fucking pulled your drawers down and shit in public and threw it at the workers? Like, what would be your fucking legal defense?
I would probably ask the judge if he had ever seen the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas, where he just snaps and starts fucking killing people.
What do we got here, Pat?
Well, I wanted to show this other video.
This came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it really did.
I actually auto-played for some reason. So, sorry about that. It auto-played. I didn't mean to do that. But anyways, it's on the same subject of poop and piss. So, you ever, what's the worst thing you've washed your hair with, would you say?
Puddle water.
Like creek water or something like that, just if you're camping.
Well, this guy here, I don't know what language he's speaking, but I will say that he's showing us a life hack, if you must. Let me go ahead and show you.
That is the golden shower at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. So this guy, he's got kind of like afro-like hair, and I'm assuming from a Middle Eastern country, from the gobbledygook that he's speaking, and he walks underneath of... What kind of animal is that?
It looks like a horse.
Walks underneath of a horse while it's pissing, and then just washes his hair in it.
While he's casually talking in the phone, and piss could be getting all over the phone. Let me finish that. Yeah.
I'm sure it's got more minerals in it than Pantene.
Yeah, the pH balance in piss is not good for your hair. There's no way.
So? Mm-mm.
I didn't mean to interrupt the whole story what we were talking about with that auto played. I don't know why I did that.
I know what he's saying, though. What he's saying is you'll never believe this, Jim. Americans are so stupid that I can make this video and they'll think that I'm actually telling them that they should do this.
Yeah,
the things doctors don't want you to know.
Right, yeah.
This is just how they shower over there.
Shampoo companies hate this guy.
Yeah, anti-vaxxers are going to love this guy. Like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to fucking wash my hair and piss. Now I'll be holistic about how I use my shampoo.
Realistically, and I want you guys to be honest here, how much money, the least amount of money you would take to wash your hair in horse piss?
God, it wouldn't be much.
Depends on the day. Like right now.
Yeah, today, right now.
$500.
$500? I mean,
yeah, rent.
But there are days I would do it for
it's
20.
a full bladder, buddy.
We're coming up on the 1st. Rent's getting close. I mean, you gotta keep that Brazzers subscription going. And
do people actually pay for that shit?
Idiots do. I don't fucking know.
I'm sure.
I don't understand how they can afford to pay the actors and actresses in those films.
I know, right? Have you ever paid for porn in your entire life?
No.
And how
do you know anybody though that has?
No.
How old are you though? You're a little bit.
I'm an old man. I'm 38.
Not that old, but like you come from the time where you had to fucking like before we had
no dial-up
like
and all
even
that.
Dial-up.
It was
internet.
dial-up, yeah. So you weren't watching videos. You were looking at pictures that would take a few minutes to load.
The JPEG's taking a few minutes for a shitty JPEG to load. Did you just get the little tiny version of it at first, and you're like, I hope this is good blown up?
Yeah, pretty
this
much
is
the thumbnail.
If you wanted to get to the good
version,
shit,
yeah.
the good shit, the videos.
You don't even need the whole thing to load.
Shit.
It just has to load the tits for me, for real.
As soon as it gets to the nipple, it could still be going, and you're like full pants down, like a chimp in the zoo.
We were talking about this.
Oh, it's fucking Caitlyn Jenner. God damn it.
We were talking about this recently. What's the longest amount of time you've spent looking up porn to find something to masturbate to?
Were we talking about that?
We were, because I
did.
said for me and
like
Pat,
all-nighters.
Yeah, I've spent all night just like
Finding
really
the perfect video.
just edging, just like trying to find the perfect one. And you found it 18 videos back, and it's still in your fucking sea of tabs, but you'll never get back to it because there's fucking 148 tabs. Have you ever got so many porn tabs going that like Google Chrome, I didn't even know it did this, but Google Chrome gives you a little like a right arrow so that you can go through a whole new list of like porn tabs, and you're like, holy fuck, how do I get back to it? And you're getting soft as you're trying to find the video, like, nah, pissing in her mouth, nah, anal gape, oh, that was the rose, oh, Jesus, pink sock, no, okay, perfect. But by then, you got a soft dick, but you can feel it needs to get out. You ever jack off with a soft dick is what I was getting to, Jay.
You ever
Not my
jack a
own.
floppy?
I'm sorry,
not
back
my
to the
own,
original
yeah.
question, though. How long is the longest you've spent, like, trying to just get
It
the
never
porn?
takes me any time at all because I know what I like. I just go get that video of Chuck Berry farting on hookers. That's all it takes.
I brought this up in the last 3 podcasts. Chuck Berry had a shit fetish. Like, nobody fucking knows
Dude,
it.
I don't think that he did.
I
Because
think-
if you watch the video, he's just laughing his fucking balls off the whole time.
Would you guys explain this a little bit for it? Because he's always been
boy-
referencing this, but I'm like, oh, shut up, Cody. But what is it?
A boy can dream. A boy can dream, Jay. So there's a what was he, a guitarist or a singer back in the 1950s?
He was the motherfucker that invented rock and roll, basically.
I don't know, the blues dudes, the black blues dudes that all
Johnny
the
Be
white
Good.
rock and roll guys
Okay.
stole it from.
My Dingling, you ever heard that song?
No.
My Dingling is a fucking classic.
I've probably heard it before, but it's one of those where you play it and it's like, okay, yeah, I've fucking heard that.
If someone told me that name, I would remember it.
It's about he's got a couple of bells on a string that his grandmother gives him for a present, and she calls it his ding-a-ling, but it's all like double entendre throughout the song because it was from like the early 60s. But it's when I was a little bitty boy, my grandmother gave me his cute little toy, silver bells hanging from a string. She said it was my ding-a-ling-a-ling, and then it's, oh, my ding-a-ling, my ding-a-ling. She caught me playing with my ding-a-ling. It's a great fucking song, man. They used to have it on the jukebox at this diner.
Is it on Spotify?
Probably.
I like to play
Definitely
that,
on YouTube.
I like to play that song while I'm thinking about Chuck Berry shitting on the chest of hookers, and then I masturbate.
He like
to this funny
farts in
thing.
their face and just laughs. Dude, it's so funny.
Can you pull that up, Pat?
Yeah.
Is this an old like fucking like video where it's
Yeah,
like, there's no
is it on
sound?
YouTube?
They're all moving
It's
fast.
probably not on YouTube.
All right, I'll Google it.
So I can only imagine that this dude had the time and money to just go buy some hookers, fart in their face for a nice laugh.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
You know, hookers don't. You got to really broach that subject like lightly with them, because if you just drive up and say, how much for me to shit on your face, they get upset and start throwing shit at you.
Like actual shit.
And
Like
not-
that lady
like
at
that
Tim
lady at
Hortons?
Tim Hortons. That's exactly how that happened. That's the backstory.
Yeah, Pat was asking how I knew about the Chuck Berry shit fetish. I don't really know about it. I just think that it's a funny thing to say. This dude he's like a burnout punk rock dude that hangs out in Northside. He's an alright guy, but he's always drunk. And he was like, dude, did you know that Chuck Berry had a shit fetish? And I was like, I want to be a part of this conversation immediately. No, I didn't. Please fucking tell me more.
I probably
And then-
know that guy.
Yeah, he proceeded to, I won't mention him on the podcast, but he maybe after the podcast we'll talk about it. But he was sitting there telling me about how Chuck Berry liked to sit on their glass coffee tables while women would fucking empty their bowels onto it and all this crazy shit.
My God.
I don't know that I saw that in the video, but if you just Google Chuck Berry farting on hookers, that's the phraseology.
Did you get it up yet, Pat?
I'm not finding anything specific, but I did find something that's talking about one of the videos. A video that shows naked blonde woman and a naked Chuck Berry. Woman gets down on her knees, and Chuck proceeds to relieve himself on her, all the while saying, "Yeah, you like that, don't
that
you?
it?
You like it when I piss on your face. Yeah, open your mouth, drink my piss. Yeah, drink it all up." What the fuck? And then he would say, then it says, when Chuck finished, he says, "Kiss me, baby. No, you smell like piss. Go wash yourself off."
Is this real or is this
I don't know.
fan made?
It's
You
on
got-
a forum.
I feel like Jay's pulling it up.
You guys
right
are
now.
bad at Google.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Look at this.
evident.
This is like security.
Oh, that
footage
was the
and
first
shit.
thing that pulled up. It just looked like a real porn.
No, it is.
Is that a
kinda.
shit? Oh my god, hold on.
He's in a tub with her. He's probably peeing on her right now. I can't really see it because I'm looking at the back of my phone.
And this is all some sick joke to him? Like, this is just a joke.
It kind of comes across that way because he like chuckles and giggles throughout
No,
the
he's
whole
about
thing.
to do it right now.
He's just having a good time.
No, he's about to piss on her.
Chuck Berry, fat old dong. Shout out Chuck Berry.
Drink it all
Kisses
up,
it.
baby. Drink
This-
it all.
this
Drink
is
it all up,
insane.
baby.
eFucked is the best site ever.
Oh, E-fucked is tremendous. I love just laughing at people in horrible fucking positions. Some girl pukes 2 fucking seconds into a
What is
blowjob and then
E-fucked?
can't stop puking. You've never seen E-fucked before?
I've never even heard of this.
Patrick,
You were
your
sheltered.
girlfriend chimed in from the background. Like, you never been on E-fucked?
Can you explain what's on this?
Jay,
website?
you would be the best at
All
explaining
kinds of
this.
crazy fucked up shit. My favorite stuff that's on there is like porn star fails. Like there's like, I don't know, 30 different videos of Mika Tan having nervous breakdowns while on set. And
What the
I can tell you this: you only have to tweet that to her one time, and she will block you.
He knows from personal experience. I saw today that you were posting about Roseanne Barr had already blocked you 6 years ago. What did you send to her? Because she just got into the
Can you
news.
explain a little bit onto this situation too? Because I heard about all this today.
The thing about when Roseanne blocked me, like now she's known as like this right winger, but she didn't used to be.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
She was running for the Green Party presidential nomination, which is as close to fucking communism as you can get without waving a red flag.
She's
you know?
a real Trump fan too, right? She's like super supportive of him and his
I don't know if
administration.
that's true or if she just said that because it was against the grain.
Yeah, like when
It's
she
hard to tell, but she definitely tried to be the Green Party nominee.
like when she dressed up as Hitler and baked Jew cookies. Did you guys ever see that a couple years ago?
Here's the thing about that. Usually, if you're the race or the creed or whatever of the group you're making fun of, usually it's cool, right? Like she's Jewish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I guess she just thought she was going to get a pass on it, but she most certainly did not.
But this time she attacked black people, which I mean,
Well, it was Valerie Jarrett specifically is who she was
I
attacking.
don't know anything about this person. Do you know about them, or did you just like me have to Google search who the fuck they were today? And
No, I know
figure it
who
all out?
Valerie Jarrett was. I stay pretty close to who's in power, you know, so I want to know who's there. It all started during the right after 9/11 when Paul Wolfowitz and Donald Rumsfeld started going after, like, hey, we should go to Iraq instead. And I looked into that, and they had been pushing to attack Iraq since like the 70s. So since then, Paul Wolfowitz was a guy I'd never heard of until I saw a documentary. So now it's like I try to know everybody that's there and see what the underlying game is.
Right.
But back when she was running for the Green Party nomination, she was on Twitter. She's like, anybody who donates to my campaign can get a free bumper sticker. And I was like, that's a $10 bumper sticker. And she was like, I don't think you understand how donations work. I said, I think I do. I think you're selling a $1 bumper sticker for $10, and you have come up with a great marketing scheme. And we argued for 45 minutes.
You and
right?
this Janet person?
No, Roseanne
Roseanne
Barr.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So the fact that I was just trolling her, right, and she responded and kept responding, I'm like, this fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck about any of this.
She's just throwing gasoline onto your fire.
I'm just giving you shit, and you are paying attention to me. You know what I mean? I'm just giving, like, a famous person is taking the time out of their day to just and I just keep saying it in real nice, polite ways. You know what I mean? Just to keep her going. And at the end, I was like, how can you not tell when you're being trolled, you stupid fucking cunt? And then she blocked me.
You're like prolific for trolling on the internet. That's the reason that I added you on Facebook. 'Cause
I've
you
really
trolled
backed
me
off
super
it.
hard.
I've really backed off it, man. Sometimes, what used to really get me is when I would agree with somebody about something, but their argument for it really seemed stupid to me, you know? Or I saw that someone was a knee-jerk reaction person. And, dude, I've said so much horrible shit to people on the internet that I never believed.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just whatever it takes to get under your skin.
Right.
I'm fucking on it.
I want to get back to the I want to absolutely get back to the trolling thing, but so that we don't jump from topic to topic to topic. What's your take on all this Roseanne Barr stuff? Do you want to keep breaking that down since we never really got into what's going on with her and your take on it and shit?
She said that Valerie Jarrett looked like a mix between something Iranian
That was
and
the Brotherhood, the
Muslim
Muslim
Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. And her father's an Iranian, and her mother is black.
That's some
Which-
dark shit to say.
Pretty obviously racist. You know what I mean? Like,
Why do they think they can just say this shit? I don't get it.
I don't know
They
either,
know
man.
that they have this power behind
Roseanne's-
their words and then just go up and say it?
Roseanne's known for being a little bit. Allegedly, she's known for having mental issues. Like, she was on Stanhope's podcast talking about how she had all kinds of, like, borderline. I don't know this 100% if it's borderline personality or if it's schizophrenia. Whatever it is, she has some type of mental
She
health
claims that
issue.
she has 22 personalities.
Yeah, and she sent one of her kids to this fucking crazy school, allegedly this like crazy encampment school or whatever the fuck, and like she had other kids that she had to give up for adoption. So, like, it's pretty. If you
She
have
take
if you
some
know
really
anything,
fucked up pictures online. I remember that.
I don't know about that, but if you know anything about Roseanne, my point is, like, you know that she's, like, not stable all the time. So I don't feel like it's that she feels like she's in a position of power to say something racist and get away with it. I think that she's just unstable sometimes, like a lot of people, and because she's a celebrity, we hold her to a higher, like, some higher pedestal.
I don't think we do. I don't think we hold her higher. I think
They hold themselves higher on that.
I
what
think
they're doing.
some
It's
of
an
them
ego
do,
thing.
yeah. And depending on, it's not even if you like a celebrity's music anymore. It's if you like a celebrity's politics. You know what I mean? That's
Can't separate the art from the person anymore.
Yeah.
well, if you agree with someone's politics, they're wearing the same jersey as you, and you will fucking to the bitter end fight for it. You know, like speaking of supposed free speech issues, there was a tweet going around comparing the NFL players kneeling and being punished for it by the NFL, but we let Nazis march. Like it's not a fair comparison because those Nazis are not at work.
Yeah.
Right? And they're not protected from me and you. You know what I mean? They're only protected from the government by free speech. You and I can go down there and fucking beat their brains out or counter-protest, whatever we choose to do. Those players they're at work. You know, and while I don't necessarily agree with the decision to punish them for kneeling during the anthem, it's not the same thing, right? So a lot of people don't realize what free speech actually means. It just means that I won't be arrested for what I say.
But you could still
right?
get a fucking break to the teeth for saying
Right,
something.
or fired from my sitcom on ABC.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's how it's supposed to work. And she suffered real life consequences for choosing to exercise free speech in the fashion that she did.
Yeah.
And I think that that's far more effective than the government stepping in to do it.
Yeah.
Because when the government steps in, you can get a lawyer and fight whatever the case is and get it dropped down, you know, whatever it is. But ABC has a right to fire you for anything that they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kind
I
of a
think
serious thing, though.
I think that repercussions thing ties back into what we were just getting into a tangent about, the trolling people online. Did you face repercussions from trolling people online that made you stop doing it, or was it just like, I don't want to argue with fucking morons anymore on the internet?
Well, here's the thing. Like,
How far have you taken this?
I've taken it pretty
He's
fucking
got a whole
far.
I wanna
bit about
hear
it.
it. I wanna
He's got a
hear
whole
it.
solid bit about it. You don't have to do bits on the podcast.
No, no bits. I just want to hear a story.
I don't really have any bits about trolling. I did have the one, the guy I was fucking with from the Facebook group.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
that that's
guy.
what I meant.
Which I don't even really do that part of it anymore. But that was a lot of fun to fuck with. Self-righteous people is who I really like fucking with. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I know my place in the world. I'm a scumbag, gutter junkie who happened to fucking find a miracle and get clean. You know what I mean? And that's all I'll ever be. And so, like, celebrities, I've had a pretty good series of fucking with celebrities.
Let's hear it.
What's your favorite one out of all the celebrities that you fucked with? Like, who did you get to take it to the furthest with, or get the most satisfaction out of the thing?
Definitely Chaz Bono.
Okay, yeah, let's
Definitely
get right
Chaz
the fuck
Bono.
into that. That's hilarious.
And she's another one, or he's another one.
Who is that person?
Chaz Bono is Cher's son,
Oh,
who is a trans man.
gotcha.
But so Chaz Bono looks a lot like George Zimmerman now too, which is super funny to me. So like the last time he was in the news and people like freaked out about him on social media, I made a meme with Chaz and it said, "You guys can keep talking all the shit you want while Zimmerman laughs his ass off at you," right? And people just responded to it like it was a picture of George Zimmerman. You know, it was so funny, dude. But she said something about, I can't even, I don't fucking, I'm not purposely
okay.
misgendering
We're
Chaz
not.
Bono.
No. None of our listeners are going to attack you.
Well, here's the thing for me, right? Like with transgender people, I really make a concerted effort to gender them the way that they choose. Not choose, but identify publicly. And the reason I do that is because there's also a group of people called the otherkin. Are you hip to them people?
I've heard of it. I'm not that familiar. Though.
They don't
you
claim
explain?
they don't claim to be born the wrong gender. They claim to be born the wrong species. So they use pronouns like wolf self. And
Are you serious?
I'm 100% serious.
This is the most amazing thing I've ever heard this entire week. Are you fucking
Like,
serious?
so let me get an so
They're
they can
real life
identify
furries.
as any animal, even if it's real or fake,
Okay, so
like a dragon.
let me back up 2 years ago, right? So
Okay.
because this is directly relevant to that. So I started writing a bit about it like 2 years ago when my friend Molly actually first told me about it. And the joke was real bad. I gave up on it real early. The end of it I thought was funny and still think is funny, but getting there is not
I got
as
you.
much fun. But the end of it is like, no, you're not a deer born in the body of a human being. You're a fucking moron born in the body of a fucking moron, which is amusing to me.
Did you feel like you had to dance a minefield to get to the end, though?
I did, yeah. So I just gave up on it. And plus, I thought it would go away. You know what I mean? I thought it was some Tumblr fad that would just pass under everybody's radar.
Now it's Canadian law. You can't fucking not call people by one of their fucking 800 different gender pronouns without going to jail for a hate crime.
Here's the thing about gender for me. Like, people say that there's, like 37 or 80 whatever different genders, but really I think there's 2.
Yeah.
And
I'm fine with transgender people as long as you pick a side, but don't fucking make up 16 new genders for me to learn, because I'm not going to do that, because 1, has nothing to do with science, and 2, like, you identifying as a different gender is already hard enough pill for most people to swallow, but people would be more ready to swallow that pill if you just didn't make it so fucking ridiculous. And I have a couple transgender friends that think that these other fucking people
are
that
crazy.
are on their side, that are crazy as fuck. They're
Right.
what the fuck's all this, like, all these 18 different genders? Like, I've heard these trans people tell me this shit, and I believe them. They're like, yeah, I identify as a man or a woman. Like, that's what this whole thing's about. And they're making our whole argument look fucking ridiculous.
I'll give you that it's on a spectrum. Like, it's male or female or some combination of the two, right? But that's still only 2.
2.5, 3 at the most. Like, if you really figured out, I'll give you 3, but you don't get 38 of them, motherfucker.
Right, exactly. So I gave up on writing the bit, right? But then I was dumb enough to fucking look it up again, right? And so now it has progressed far beyond things that... So it was things that human beings were born, things that human beings can be, and then it was animals, and now it's fucking not just mythological creatures, but beyond that to concepts like light beams and shit. Like, look, you're not a fucking light beam, bro. You're not ever going to be a light beam. There's no fucking surgery to make you a light beam. You're a fucking person.
Could I be a lightsaber?
I mean, you could
Identify as a lightsaber.
you know,
you have to.
I think the most common joke is I identify as an Apache attack helicopter.
Yeah.
You know?
For me, at what point does all the rest of this cross the line into potentially being mental illness or attention? Like, for me, it's one of those two things. When you start identifying as a light beam, it's like, okay, do you have some serious issues that you're not addressing in your personal life, and you're trying to, like, make this a new thing so that you don't have to focus on those other issues? Or, like, is it you need attention? Or, like, do you have a serious psychological problem that you need to address?
You know, it's hard to really call that. Mental illness is such a strange thing. I don't know how many mentally ill, like truly mentally ill people you've had to deal with.
A bunch.
Or to deal with on a professional level. Like working in recovery, I had to deal with it quite a bit. For me, if identifying as a light beam is going to keep you from killing everybody that lives next door next week, fucking go for it, right?
Yep.
But I'm not going to fucking read your manifesto and then go out and try to have laws changed so that you can get paid money because you're a fucking light beam and not a human being. It's just not. I'm not fucking that into it. You know what I mean?
There's this weird line now that people don't want to cross of my feelings matter more than fact.
Right.
Like, more than something that affects the entire world always, long after I'm gone, my feelings matter more. It's just, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, the other people are fucking, oh my God. And they are the like, okay, so they're the most vocal group of people that are saying, like, you are committing a hate crime against me.
Yeah. They're the quickest to draw that card out.
Right, exactly. Like, you're not using the right pronouns. You need to call me by wolf self. No, I don't. No, the fuck I don't.
Lightsaber.
Yeah, you
Look,
absolutely don't.
If you want to fucking put a wolf tail butt plug in and run around your house and fucking howl at the moon, doesn't bother me at all.
How do you feel about furries? Like, are you married?
Well, kind of. I'm on my way to being married again.
Let's
Oh,
say...
congrats, man.
Congrats, that's amazing.
Usually when I say again, no one says congrats. That's why I say again so quick to stop that from coming.
So, what if she was into being a furry? Would you still be into that?
I mean, I feel like I would know that by now. I feel like that should be like a first date type of thing.
Would you still be into it? Let's say she dresses up as like a squirrel or something and says, hey, let me get some of them nuts.
You know, I mean, I would probably try. I'm a pretty open-minded dude.
Okay.
You know, like I always say, I don't even know if I'm gay or not. Might be.
Why is that?
Because I've never found the situation where I was attracted to another man, but that doesn't mean that man doesn't exist. So the right squirrel costume might fucking be out there.
True shit. Yeah, absolutely. You get the right titties in that squirrel outfit. I might be able to. It might be jackable.
Love the way you
I'll
put that. The way you worded that. It was. Real
It
nice.
might be out there.
It was weird and eloquent.
I try to be super open-minded. I really try to, because
Sounds like it.
I was really close-minded to Chinese food. And I'm kind of a fat dude, so food really affects my life. And I was super close-minded to Chinese food
I'm
until
trying to get in that too.
I was homeless in San Francisco, and the only food I could find in this particular trash can that I was searching through was some fucking broccoli beef that somebody had thrown away from the Chinese restaurant that was right by the garbage
And you were being
can.
the picky homeless man that was like, fuck, it's Chinese.
No, I was like, it's fucking food, thank God. And I started eating it, and I was like, this shit is fucking great. Why did they throw this shit away? And then I've been eating Chinese food ever since.
So wait, your first encounter with fucking Chinese food is like in the Tenderloin of San Francisco?
I know,
assume
we're
it's
on Haight
Tenderloin.
Street.
Okay. And fucking...
In Northside?
No, San Francisco.
Haight
you
Street.
fuck.
Sorry.
Haight and Ashbury is like the most famous hippie kind of spot.
My bad.
But no, punk kids don't hang out in the Tenderloin much. Punk kids pretty much hang out in the Haight-Ashbury district, and then they cop dope down in the Mission district. That's...
I don't know anything about San Francisco. I just I assumed the Tenderloin because I knew that's like the
a
heroin
Rancid
spot.
song. Yeah.
Well,
No,
not even just that, but also I saw some recent thing with Fat Mike and Stizza or Sturgeon from Leftover Crack and NoFX, and they were picking up heroin needles in the Tenderloin and fucking throwing them in there. So I was like, well, probably.
No, we always copped in the Mission district from the Border Brothers, Mexicans, and
Yeah.
that's where I learned most of the Spanish I know is fucking around down in the Mission district.
Just learning how to buy heroin from fucking from Mexicans straight from the border. Can we get right into that? Like, I guess for the people listening, Jay's actually in recovery right now. He's got is it 13 years clean?
12.
12 years clean.
It was 12 in November.
incredible.
So it'll be, if I don't drink, use, or die between now and November 8th, it'll be 13.
That's amazing, man. And it was you started with alcohol and you went to like dilaudid heroin, opiates, cocaine, like everything. Across
Pretty
the
much
board,
everything
right?
that came across my way. There's a bunch of shit out kids are using now that didn't even exist when I got clean.
Fentanyl?
Well, no, we loved fentanyl. But you could always tell if the heroin was laced with fentanyl because when you shot it, and you would get the taste of ether in your mouth.
Like you snorted coke or something?
Kinda. When you
Yeah.
shoot cocaine, you get the taste of ether in your mouth too.
Gotcha. I've never shot drugs before. I mean, I've done coke. And,
You have wasted a fuck ton of money then.
yeah.
That's
Well,
a horrible thing to say.
I never bought cocaine. All the times that I did it was free, and it was very sparse here and there. But I've never shot any drugs or snorted pills when I was in high school and shit like that. But I never got none of it really stuck to me. But I think that it's like we've all dealt with addicts before. Me, Pat, Luke. I don't know how far you guys want to get into it, but like we've all like been there with somebody. I've lost like my uncle to heroin addiction. My dad was super addicted to fucking pills until he shot himself. Like there was all kinds of fucking addiction in my family. And what I usually notice with these people is that they might get clean for a little while, but they always keep coming back to it. Like my uncle, I thought he was clean, and the next thing you know, he's overdosed on heroin and fentanyl on my grandma's, and he's gone. So that's my experience with addicts for the most part a lot of the times. But you're one of those rare cases where you actually made it out to the other side for, I know it's a day-by-day process, but
Yeah, I'm
for
still
12
alive.
fucking
We'll see.
years, man.
You
For
know.
12 fucking years, that's impressive. Like, you're really doing it right now.
I mean, I've got a pretty good run. I was also very fortunate when I came into recovery. The particular group that I'm a member of, I was brought in a very old school way, and I was given. They cared more about my life than my feelings, and they told me the truth. And it was, you're going to do this the way that we did it, or you're going to go the fuck away. And so I did it, and here I am. You know.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. Which, yeah, it's been a crazy life, though. You know what I mean? I've been homeless in recovery. I've been married and divorced. I've had my whole life fucking shattered. You know, the only thing that I've done right all the time is not picked up.
Yeah.
You know,
How did you actually get into doing drugs? Like, what was your first experiences with it?
the first time that I ever drank alcohol was I was like 11 or 12, and my parents were hardline Southern Baptists, so they didn't drink, wouldn't have alcohol in the house. My mom's side of the family is Catholic, and they fucking drink like fishes, and which is an incredibly stupid phrase. Because I don't know that fishes
They don't
actually
really
drink. I don't know. I always felt anxious as a kid. I had some PTSD that I still deal with. But the first time that I drank alcohol, I felt okay. You know what I mean? I felt the way you guys all look. I felt normal. I felt like I could survive the day, and I knew right then and there, like, this is it. This is for me. This is what I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing. And then
Was it a consistent thing after that point?
every chance that I got, you know, at 12 you don't have access to alcohol.
I was there
lot.
with you. Like, I'm not in recovery or anything. I still drink, but I drank from the time that I was an early kid. So, like, whenever I could find it, I was stealing it from my fucking parents or, like, getting older people to buy it for me that didn't give a fuck.
Right. And then there used to be a place up here in Clifton that would make some pretty terrible fake IDs, but back then, IDs weren't printed like credit cards are now. You know what I mean? They were laminated.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, as early as I could, I got a fake ID that said I was 21. And
What's the process of getting a fake ID?
you just go in and they ask you, it's not intended to look like a real ID, like a state ID.
Like McLovin or something like that?
No, I actually, as fucking lame as it sounds, I said that my name was Brian Warner, which is, I was super into Marilyn Manson when I was a kid. Yeah, dude. I mean, and it worked at a lot of places, you know, and it didn't say state of anything, you know what I mean? It just said name, birth date, address.
What's the time where it didn't work?
Oh, fuck, I can't remember, dude.
That's okay.
How did
It's been a long time.
How did alcohol eventually evolve into fucking the rest of everything else? Did
Well,
it just lower your inhibition, or
Early on, so that first night that I drank, we drank hot damn schnapps, which is terrible shit to drink.
Garbage.
Which
Yeah.
watching people drink Fireball now just really,
garbage?
like if you want candy, eat candy. You know, I spent a lot of years drinking Beam's 8-Star, which is some fucking rock gut shit, man. Back when I quit, it was $13.99 for a half gallon.
Drinking some
80 proof whiskey.
Thunderbird wine and
gallon of 80 proof whiskey.
For $13.99, yeah, dude. That's domestic
that.
violence at a value price.
It basically fucking is, man.
But, yeah, dude, I would drink one in a day.
In a day?
Yeah.
My.
And, I mean, I would wake up at like 10, you know what I mean, and just go to a Latonia Liquors, buy a bottle, fucking just drink all day.
Were you at all a violent drunk or anything like that?
Yeah, I did a lot of shit that I probably shouldn't have. I fought cops a lot.
Any of these stories past the statute of limitations that you can tell?
I think they're all past the statute of limitations. And I got fucking prosecuted for most of them, too.
Okay, so you're already in trouble for
Yeah.
it. No
They can't-
double jeopardy.
No
here.
double jeopardy. But yeah, like, you know, cops would start shit with me, and I would be like, look, man, fuck. I mean, I'm clearly drunk in public. You know what I mean? I'm clearly in the wrong. I'm clearly committing a crime. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do, which I have a weird relationship with law enforcement now. It's not bad. It's just, it's alien to me. You know, I have a lot more respect for police officers now that I'm sober, and I look back at, like, everything that I made them do to me. You know, which is why I kind of have a different perspective on a lot of these police brutality situations that are happening now. You know, I always want to know what led up to it, and a lot of people don't care about that. And it's like, well, I know what I did.
When somebody
you know?
flips a video on halfway through the beating and it just looks like a vicious ass whooping where the cops are kicking you to sleep, you're like, oh yeah, the cops are obviously in the wrong. Well, you don't know what led up to that fucking vicious ass beating.
And you know, I've got a dent in my head from a fucking Cincinnati police nightstick.
Damn.
And it just never went away.
You want to tell us about that night?
That was Pepsi Jammin' on Main.
What is that?
It used to be a festival that was down on Main Street in Cincinnati. Seven Mary 3 was the band that was playing, and people started moshing during Seven Mary 3, which you guys might not even be old enough to know.
I don't even know what that is.
They
Never
fucking
heard of 'em.
suck. Okay,
What kind of genre?
hard rock.
Okay.
Okay.
So are we talking about Nickelback, Nickel Creed back?
We're talking
Nickel Creed back.
we're talking the exact middle between Nickelback and Godsmack.
Ooh.
So like right in
Brutal.
the middle of there, you know. So
Terrible twosome.
like maybe 2 crunchy guitar riffs per record.
I'm going to
you
race
know?
home after this and buy tickets.
Dude, it was terrible. But anyway, the Cincinnati police freaked out because people were like pushing each other around, and they didn't know what it was. You know, we're talking 95, maybe 96. And they freaked out, and they shut the festival down, and people were like, fuck you, we paid to get in, which it was probably like $1. Fuck, I don't remember. But I was on the news pushing over porta potties and shit.
Metal.
Can we look that up?
You may be able to. Pepsi Jammin' on Main riots. They called it a riot.
Try to find that, Pat.
But yeah, so
What's the event called one more time?
Pepsi Jammin' on Main.
All right.
Yeah, Seven Mary 3 are fucking terrible, dude. They actually kind of sound like Silverchair. You remember them?
No, not familiar. I never got into like that style of music. So.
Well, neither did I, but it was all over the radio, you know, and being a younger person, there was a time where you couldn't just listen to whatever you wanted from your phone through your car stereo.
I drove a
you know?
beater for like 3 years, and the only thing that I had access to were either the CDs that I pre-made or the fucking like the shitty whatever's on 96.5 or 102.7.
Right.
I mean,
You know what I think the best invention ever was the FM transmitter you can plug into your phone.
oh,
Have you
that's
ever had
great.
one of those?
And then you can get an aux cable that like hooks up to your phone. Yeah, mine would only work if you had it on a certain radio station, but it wouldn't work everywhere.
Right.
And my CD player was so fucked that the only way that it would turn on when you started the car was to like jam a CD as hard as you can into the fucking thing, and you have to do it like 8 times until it comes. Did you find it, Pat?
Yeah, well, no, I didn't. But I did find the first video that popped up. Man tries to stop Berkeley riots with a Pepsi. And the thumbnail is like a bunch of smoke and people running in the background, and he's holding a Pepsi up to the fucking camera.
Oh, well,
I'm sorry. It was just funny.
it's all good.
But yeah, so
You were talking about addiction and
I've had a
recovery
bunch of
going
cops
into that.
beat the shit out of me. Always my fault, except for the Pepsi jamming on me. That was the only one that
100%
really.
you.
Here's the thing: I was walking down the side. They kept yelling at us to get out of the street, walk on the sidewalks, and there was these 2 young girls walking my way, and they were both kind of pretty. So I stepped out of their way, trying to be a gentleman, because I thought I was suave, I guess. But the cop's like, "I fucking told you already," and then he fucking hits me in the back of my knee with the nightstick, which drops me to the ground. And then what they do when they really want to fucking hurt you is they'll put the nightstick like in their hand with the handle, and then they'll run the baton part down their
Like a
forearm,
tonfa.
Yeah.
and then come down on you with the fucking their forearm. And that's how I got this fucking dent in my head.
Oh, that's rough.
God damn.
But yeah, so I was violent from time to time. I was the guy at the party, and that kind of like the way I used to attack people on the internet. I would just be like, "I know who the fuck you are. I know what you fucking said." You know what I mean?
And provoked him to the point to where they wanted to beat you up.
Well, a complete stranger, like, man, who is this fucking guy? You know what I mean? He's saying that I fucking said this about his family, and I don't even know who he is.
And you're an intimidating looking dude. You got the tattoos. You got fucking solid frame for our listeners and shit like that. You got the bald head, so they're like, maybe skinhead. I don't know, prison tattoos.
I've been shaving my head since I was in like the 5th grade because I have super curly, like the Irish fucking afro.
Oh, dude.
Oh, dude, yeah, I hated it. Now I'm going bald, and I wish I could grow hair. So now I just keep doing it, which this is the longest it's been in a while. Fucking Rock on the Range kind of wiped me out, so I haven't had. Dude, I'm an old man now. Like I was saying earlier, so being in the sun for 3 days killed me.
Just wrecked you. Took all the
my
energy
God,
out of your
dude.
fucking body.
Oh, dude, it fucking for days. I'm still not right. But yeah, no, back then drinking was a bad deal.
Yeah.
You know, I found out early on that I couldn't really control it. Like once I started putting it in me, I would put insane amounts in me. Had alcohol poisoning more than a few times.
Did you get diagnosed with it, or were you like me, where you're like, yeah, that was for sure alcohol poisoning last night, but like I didn't go to the hospital at any point for it. I just
I'm
lived
still
somehow.
here.
Yeah, well, I made it.
I've done both of those. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like once you realize what it is, like you know when you have it again.
Yeah. When
But,
my body gets cold and sweaty and I can't fucking like stop throwing up and convulsing, yeah, I
Right.
think I've got alcohol poisoning.
Right. So, a couple of buddies of mine, they're like, dude, you get out of hand. Like, you can't drink here anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean? I fucking can't hang out here anymore. They were like, no, we said you can't drink here anymore. I was like, that's what I said. I can't hang out here anymore. And they were like, we've all been doing this. And they busted out some hydromorphone, hydrochloride, which is dilaudid. And I shot that, and I felt okay again.
Can I ask a question about this real quick? So they said you can't hang out out here anymore because we're doing something else.
Well, no, they said you can't drink here anymore because you're a
So
liability.
he's a reckless drunk, so
Okay.
they didn't want him doing this shit that was
So,
going to make him
and
like
now
that.
these dudes are all like 24 and I'm 16.
Okay.
Because so they just didn't want to put up with the fucking insanity that I brought, you know. So even
While they were doing all that,
No, just in
just
general.
just
he
in
Just in
general,
general.
dude, I would
Up
knock
that
shit
time.
over. I would
gotcha.
scream and yell. I would throw up. I would fucking take my clothes off. I would piss in the middle of the floor. I would get the cops called. Like it was a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? I was definitely in the wrong, and
So
I
they
definitely
were like, let's steer you into a better direction. Here's heroin, basically.
kind of yeah. And
okay, that's what I was curious about.
And honestly, opiate narcotics kind of saved my life because I would have drank myself to death and one either through actual cirrhosis or alcohol poisoning, or I would have done something crazy drunk. I had 2 DUIs before I was 21. One of them was in a U-Haul truck. I was definitely a danger when I was drinking.
This story is making me thirsty.
But the opiates, they took me to the same place mentally and emotionally that alcohol did, but I didn't get naked. I didn't fight nobody. I didn't get the cops called. You know
just
what I mean?
felt
It was
like
like a fucking miracle.
The anxiety relief and no fucking like
Right.
craziness in between.
Right, until I had developed a habit and woke up one day dope sick And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Now, that's what I want to get to, because I've done, like, recreational hard drugs here or there. I guess there's no real recreation. It always develops into an addiction eventually. But, like, I mean, I've done cocaine here and there. And, like, I don't wake up the next morning like, let's get more coke, grinding my teeth together. I wake up like, I should have done that. Like
90% of people don't. You know, anyone can develop a physical dependency upon opiate narcotics. But once 90% of people are detoxed, they're like, all right, we're not fucking with that again.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm a real drug addict. I'm part of that 10% that just goes back no matter what. And I did this flip-flop back and forth between opiate narcotics and alcohol for a long time. I always had this idea in my head that I just started drinking too young. So, like, the first night that I ever drank, we drank those hot damn shots, and I blacked out, and I pissed myself while I was passed out, right? Thought, I'm 12, should have drank beer instead of hard liquor, you know. When I get older, this will stop. And the last time that I drank was on Halloween of 2005, so 9 days before I got sober. And that night, at 25 years old, I blacked out, I passed out, and I pissed myself in my sleep.
So it's not just a matter of the age.
I didn't grow out of it.
Learning how to drink. It's always been...
Alcoholism is alcoholism. It always gets worse. It never gets better.
Now, sorry to keep interrupting you over and over. I just have so many questions about this topic. But, like, when you got into the opioids, or the opiates, or however the fuck it's...
we all know what you're talking about, man. It's cool.
Right on. So whenever you got into that shit, did the alcohol just completely stop? Because you said that...
At times...
The opiates saved your life, so that to me means
so
like,
yeah,
you just didn't do it
I would
anymore.
quit drinking until the heroin became such a problem that I would go into a psych ward and detox. And then I would come out and I'd be like, oh, not fucking with that shit again.
Right.
Let's try drinking again. You know, so I would drink for a while. I rarely mixed alcohol and opiate narcotics.
What happens if you do that? Is it just detrimental, or did it just not feel good?
You don't feel it as much. It's a lot easier to die. And if I'm going to make it easier to die, I'm probably going to do benzos, Valiums, and Xanax, and then do heroin. Plus, it's just a lot. The whole lifestyle is a lot more dangerous if you're drunk. You know, going downtown and copping and
make more reckless decisions
yeah,
that get you arrested.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't say that those were conscious decisions. It's just they don't really go together well. Like cocaine and alcohol go together well.
They're tremendous. If you get too fucking drunk, you do a bump of coke, and all of a sudden, I'm sober. I can drink again. That was my experience with it every time that I did it.
The first time I figured that out, I was 15. I was in Louisville with a buddy of mine, and we had about 3 inches in the bottom of a half-gallon of Jim Beam. And once we were at his sister's house, and his sister was cool with us drinking and partying and shit. Her boyfriend liked to smoke crack, so he's like, hey, I'm going to go to the liquor store. Do you guys want anything? And I'm like, fuck yeah, we're going to run out of whiskey soon. And so he takes my money and he leaves. He's gone for like 4 hours. And I'm like, man, where is this motherfucker at?
4 hours?
Yeah,
You're waiting
dude.
for alcohol?
For alcohol, right? So
You
he
know
comes
where he's
back
at.
and he's like, well, at the time I had no idea. At the
Yeah.
time, he comes back and he's like, man, the liquor store when I was closed when I got there. And I was like, dude, you left at 7. It was not fucking closed when you left, dude.
Well, I was getting to that, man, so I got robbed by the guy down the street, and then I had to go suck this homeless man's dick for he said he was going to give me some money, never gave me the money. So then I had to, and he's got a whole fucking, I bet it's the whole fucking story for you.
Well, no, it was a pretty short story. He's like, yeah, I had another errand I had to run first, and it took a lot longer, but I got this. And he drops a fucking crack rock in my hand. I'm like, what the fuck is that? He's like, that's crack cocaine. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Thinking like, I don't want this, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, you smoke it. And in my head, I'm like, no shit, asshole. So I took the first hit, and I was dead sober. And I had never been so goddamn angry in my entire life.
Like instantly?
Yeah, instantly.
Okay.
Instantly.
Pat's
As
never
soon
done
as-
shit like this
as
before.
soon
No,
as-
I've only smoked weed.
As soon as I blew it out, sober. Like that fast, dude. And I was so fucking mad. And
Because you were sober?
yeah,
He wanted to get drunker. That's why he sent him to the liquor store.
Dude,
Then
I gotcha.
if you do speed or any type of like cocaine or crack is just smokable cocaine. As soon as you do it, it like I don't know what the chemical reason is for it, but it brings you out of drunkenness and it allows you to like talk coherently again. I mean, you might
I was
be,
asking if the smoking it was making him angry or if he was just getting angry.
I was angry because I was sober.
Gotcha.
Like at 15, it wasn't super easy for me to acquire a half-gallon of Jim Beam. You know what I mean? And I've been working on that buzz for a couple of hours, like nursing this bottle so it wasn't gone by the time he got back from the liquor store.
4 hours.
Yeah, and no, I was super mad. And I tried to like crack again later, and it was just never my thing. I've smoked my share of it though, and
So-
probably your share and your share.
Never smoke crack.
Not my
Um,
share though.
I definitely don't recommend it. I don't recommend any hard drugs at all. You know, I don't even recommend weed. I think weed is boring. I quit that before I quit everything else.
I like weed because it keeps me, well, first and foremost, I like to get high. But a lot of people that talk about the benefits of weed are like, oh no, it's medicine for me. Shut the fuck up. You like to get high.
Right.
That's a big part of it for me.
Which I can respect that.
Yeah, exactly. But another part of it that is 100% true, and I've been smoking weed pretty consistently since I was 13 years old. I have real bad rage issues, and it comes out when I get real drunk sometimes, and it sometimes happens when I'm sober. I'm ready to fly off the handle all the time. But when I smoke pot, I don't feel the need to get angry at people. I don't feel that anger when I'm waiting in traffic if I just smoke like a little. And I'm not like, let's smoke fucking 10 blunts. Like, no, I'm like, let's smoke like a half a bowl, and now I feel good. I feel like conversational and like everything's good. But like, it keeps the anger down. It keeps me from feeling like violently angry and doing something reckless that's gonna get me put in jail. And I've been pretty aware of that for a while because I've been in some like nasty situations here or there, and I've noticed that when I smoke pot just by itself, it does keep me from feeling like that. But first and foremost, I like to smoke weed because it gets me high.
Right, and that's cool. You know what I mean? If that stops you from fucking hurting yourself or somebody else, call yourself a wolf. You know what I mean? It's the same shit to me. Like, whatever. As long as you're not hurting
Lightsaber.
somebody else,
Yeah.
do your deal.
It's not for you, but like
it's
you can
not
accept
for
it.
me.
As long as I'm not pushing it on you, which ties
right,
it back to that.
and or coming up with bullshit reasons for it.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you look at Colorado or Michigan or Oregon or Washington, right, one of the big arguments for legalization is that it's just a plant, man. It's nature. It's natural. It's not
fucking drug.
processed. But then every single place where it gets legalized, the very first thing they do is process the living shit out of it.
Yep.
They fucking add chemicals to it and pull stuff out and create shatter and dabs and all that other shit. Like, I thought your whole argument was that it was just nature and you just pull it off the
Yeah.
plant and it's fucking medicine. And
Yeah.
But now it's not. Now
Because-
it's big pharma.
This goes back to a Stanhope argument that, like, I don't know if you're familiar with, like, his shit at all, but I'm a big fan of him, and he had a whole thing, and he was like, fuck all that fucking medicine talk, start the argument where it starts. It's my body, I can do whatever the fuck I want, and if you have a problem with it, fuck you. And then he, like, makes a shotgun, like,
Right.
I'll fuck it. Like, that is the argument. Like, your body is your temple, you should be allowed to do whatever the fuck you want. I have had family members die of heroin, I've had family members kill themselves because of opiates, I've had other family members still addicted to it. I still believe that you should be able to shoot heroin into your veins every day until you die of it. If you want to, and you're not dragging that out onto anybody else, if you're not robbing or stealing or killing for it, and a lot of those people do divulge into that, and that's kind of the issue with making the shit legal.
Well, it's
I
not
think.
just that. So part of the problem with opiate narcotics and cocaine is that it funds a lot of real terrible shit. You
Yeah.
know, people say, well, it's a victimless crime to possess heroin. Well, you had to buy it.
It
And the
would
person-
be, though, if they made it legal, though. That's
right.
the
It's all
thing.
black market issues. And then
There's certain countries that do have it all legalized and all their drug use is all down. Like Switzerland,
Portugal.
Portugal,
Overdose rates went down by 80% basically
Canada as
overnight.
well.
but just legalizing all drugs.
Right.
That's wild. Does that mean that?
Well, they decriminalized it.
that
which
doesn't
is
mean they
slightly,
have like a pot shop for heroin, a heroin shop.
Right.
I think
you just
the
don't
issue-
go to prison for possession anymore.
Did
There
you
we go.
short out?
I'm good now.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry about your headphones, buddy.
But yeah, so even with marijuana, everybody I know that smokes pot tells me that they know where they get their pot, but that's something that I've been told ever since I was like 12 or 13. You know what I mean? Like, you're all liars. Like, there's times where you get butt weed from somebody that they say they're growing it because they want that fucking that cool guy status as the guy that grows good weed, but the truth is that it's coming across the fucking southern border,
Right.
and little kids are dying from bullets that you helped buy. So that's the big problem that I have with marijuana, and it all comes from it being illegal.
Yeah.
Now, the way it's being legalized state by state is not good either, because there still is a huge black market that comes from that. And not only is there a huge black market that comes from it, the fact that it's illegal on a federal level is making it difficult for these businesses to put their money in safe places. So there's a lot more violent armed robberies that are happening in those places.
Because banks won't accept the funds that come from the...
They're not allowed to. They
Yeah.
can't. If it's an FDIC, a federally insured bank, they can't take that money from a dispensary.
So these people just start sitting on mountains of cash that they can't put into a fucking bank legally, and
Or
have
they
it
buy
taken care of.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And they usually have a pretty big stack when they go to buy it. So yeah, there's a lot of armed robbery, and they're being robbed for weed. You know?
Another thing that I wasn't even aware of until I listened to Matt Taibbi. He's a journalist. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast recently, and he was talking about a drug dealer that he had hooked up with that he wanted to write an article on because he had approached him and told him that he had been selling pot on a high level for many years, and that he addressed an aspect of like buying pot, since Ohio's not a legal state, and obviously I still have pot, so I'm buying pot illegally.
It is a legal state, though.
Yeah, now it is finally,
Kinda.
but
Medically.
you can't really, medically, you can't really get it legally if you don't have a medical card.
Well, you can't get it at all yet because the fucking rules in the
Right.
the Commerce Department have basically made it to where they can't open up a dispensary anywhere.
Right. But the point for all that was that in these legal states, when these people grow these crops, a thing that a lot of people don't know is that when they bring this harvest into a shop to be medically dispensed, they heavily inspect it and make sure that it doesn't have any type of mold or any type of contamination or any type of chemicals on it or anything like that. And if it's not accepted by that dispensary, they might try 2 or 3 more. And if it's not accepted, then they don't just throw that weed in an incinerator and try them to start again. I just spent fucking months growing it and thousands of dollars and electric and fucking supplies. No, they send it onto the black market, and then you're getting the weed that is full of mold or extra chemicals or all this other shit. It's like what you're talking about before that. And one more point, we do got to take a break real quick, and I have to piss like a racehorse. But one thing that I do want to address that I feel like, I don't know if it's affected your life at all, just being a comedian, but I know that it affected like my uncle's life and other people's life, is like the stigma behind drug addicts with when they slap you with that felony, when you finally do get busted, you might have
I'm a persistent felony offender, buddy. Like, I got the big label.
Yeah, when you get that, everybody's waiting for you to fuck up at all times. You can't get a solid job. I mean, you're a comedian, so maybe you're figuring it out.
But before that, I was doing construction, and then I started my own business. You know, the way the world works is this. We live in a capitalist society, and regardless of who is shitting on you or why they are shitting on you, there is a way around it if you are willing to put in the work.
Yeah, but for a lot of people, it fucks them up. Like, my uncle was a machinist. They took his job away from him as a machinist because he caught a felony, and then he's got to be a scrapper to make money because that's the only other thing that he knows how to do. But they took his license because he's got a felony for heroin, and now he can't drive his car legally to make the only thing that he can do to get money. And then they put him on the fucking no-buy list at the scrapyard, not because he sold him something fucked up. If I went to the thing recently and I found out that he was on the no-buy list because he had a heroin possession charge, so they're afraid that he's stealing fucking copper wire out of places or copper whatever the fuck out of places and selling it to them. So they take away all your and you're right, if you're crafty, you can figure out a way around it, and you can figure out a way to get money. But instead of trying to help people that fuck up, they try their hardest to keep them institutionalized in a system that continuously fucks them in the ass until they have no hope. And the only thing that they could do to make money in a lot of situations is to keep going back to criminality in order to fucking find a way to finance their life and their family and their whatever the fuck else they've got going
It's an endless cycle.
A lot
Facts.
of well, here's the thing about that though.
I've got to piss so bad.
Before I got my felony convictions, I was an IT guy. I worked at in the IT department at the Healthcare Research Center of Procter & Gamble up in Mason. Dude, I mean, that was a pretty prestigious job at 18. And when I got out of prison, I worked at McDonald's. I mean, that's a fucking serious drop, but I was willing to do it. You know, there are places out there. The question is are you going to let your pride fucking stop you from doing it? And yes, everyone wants to see... they don't want to see you fail, but they expect it.
What if they set up a system, though, where you went to jail and it wasn't punishment, it was reform, and they tried to reform you, and they didn't cram you into a fucking cage with other animals that are fucking ready to kill you, and you got to be on your P's and Q's at all time? What if they were trying to fucking, like, reform you throughout that entire process, the same thing that they do in Scandinavian countries like Norway, Sweden?
I mean, they do that in some places here, and the feds have always kind of done that in the fed joints, but really it breaks down to money. You know what I mean? Yeah. It takes money to institute those kind of programs. It's a lot easier to just warehouse people.
The warehouse thing that gets into the prison industrial complex the facts of it, where they fucking these private companies own prisons that they'll threaten to close down if they don't have enough people in the prison.
100% against for-profit private prison industry
because it fucks it up.
It's one of the top industries in Ohio.
We need to talk more about the prison stuff because I have a story to start off when we get back from the break.
Can we earmark it here and then just
we'll end it here because I definitely want to get into this a little bit further because I have a lot of questions. Right on. All right, we'll be right back, fuckers. Welcome back to the Bastard Sermon. All right, so I wanted to get into this crazy fucking shit I found out this week. Actually, today. So there was this guy that I used to hang out with all the time at this bar locally. And Cody, I don't know if you remember him or not, but basically he came to my house a couple times and partied. And he was super cool every time I hung out with him. You would never know, but I found out today he just got arrested for child pornography.
Is he a cop?
He's a corrections officer. Have you read this?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So yeah, I used to hang out with this guy, like not even like 8 months ago. And it blindsided all of us. He's got a 7-year-old daughter. I won't say his name. He's got a 7-year-old daughter he'll never see again. So apparently what happened is that he was being investigated for months because he typed in something and it just didn't seem right. So when the FBI was investigating him, they waited for the perfect moment. And then eventually they found him on the way out from work with a search warrant, and they just busted him and arrested him, and he admitted to it all. So they took all of his electronic devices. They're going to look into all that shit too. But he admitted to downloading it and sharing it with other people. So there's other people that are getting it as well. Now the thing that's fucked up, I don't know if this means he was doing this with his kid or not. It's so fucked up. It's just kind of crazy because he was a corrections officer out of jail.
He's going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
They're going to put him in PC, though. With him, if he goes to the jail...
PC is protective custody.
Protective custody, yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Administrative
like,
segregation.
He's got to be watched 24 hours at all times.
Yeah, he'll be put on suicide watch. He'll be kept by himself. You know,
he's on suicide watch now. You think that's mandatory because of the situation,
for sure,
or that he actually tried to commit suicide?
No, they put you on that
it's
because
mandatory.
you're likely to kill yourself if that goes on. Because if you don't kill yourself, you're likely to get fucking abused the shit out of, if not killed, in prison.
But that's the thing, you know, a lot of people now, there was a guy in Boone County, just like this character's from Boone County. I used to troll a Boone County neighborhood group pretty hard, and this dude said something about spanking his kids, and I was just like, look, man, I mean, I think it's great that you like hitting your kids, but you should probably stop. And he's like, are you a father? You just don't fucking understand. And I was like, I am a father, and I've never once hit any of the kids, and they're just fine. And he was like, well, you fucking better do it, blah, 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 or they'll grow up to be fucking scumbags. And that dude ended up getting charged with raping his own 2 daughters over the course of like 13 fucking years, man.
What the fuck?
And, you know, everybody in the group was like, well, he'll get his in prison. And I had to tell him, like, he won't, though. He won't. He'll be kept by himself because there's been so many federal lawsuits over...
Just being thrown to them and then just
thrown to the wolves, basically,
yeah.
Because they know what's going to happen as soon as people find out what he's in there for.
But these fucking scumbags should be thrown to the wolves. They
I
should
agree.
be thrown
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
hardest fucking prison possible. You should kill yourself in jail. You should. If you fucking touch kids or like you hurt people that can't fucking defend themselves, you should be thrown to a pack of wolves. Not figuratively. You should be thrown into a pack of wolves literally. You should be fucking eaten and devoured by these I have nothing but contempt for these fucking cocksuckers that like hurt children or like distribute this shit and like go out of their way to fucking... I'm not a father, but I'm the oldest in my whole family, and there's plenty of kids in there, and like if any of them fucking... I'd go to jail for the rest of my life to fucking end one of these fuckheads' life if they ever tried to fucking... if they even thought about hurting my family. Like I would fucking end them for forever. And that... Fuck the federal lawsuits that these fucking cocksuckers that hurt kids, like, oh, they should be better protected in jail. Suck a dick.
Let's read more into
I
this
was
story.
counting how many times you said fuck in a row, dude. Like, you nearly hit the 10 mark, bud. You probably did, because I started counting late.
If I didn't see you counting, I probably would have kept going, and it would have went closer to 25 folks.
Like, these fucking if they ever fucking...
Okay, but we did earmark this before we got back. We earmarked this on prison stories and shit like that, so... You want to hop back into that?
So
I don't really have many great prison stories.
I don't think any prison stories are great prison
tell
stories.
us about the first time you went. Maybe that was an interesting time.
I only did state time once. But so it's boring, right? It's really fucking boring. You know, people talk about, you know, like they see the show Oz on HBO or whatever it was, and they're like, oh, that's what prison's like, you know. And, in some places out west, it's kind of like that. But in the Midwest, dude, like you don't have the same gang element. Like there are gangs, but it's not the same as it is in California. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's so different in Ohio and Kentucky than it is out there. Which, I mean, you can still get yourself into a shitload of trouble. I mean, you really can. You can get fucking killed in any joint, you know, if you can't fucking carry yourself right. But it's not hard. You know what I mean? It's really not. All you got to do is not end up in debt, really, and don't disrespect people. You know, and every so often you run across some asshole that you just walking in front of him is fucking disrespectful and he just wants to start shit.
Because he's serving 15 years and he needs something to spice up his day.
Right.
If anything movies have taught me and TV shows is to find the biggest dude I can and punch him straight in the face.
It's the biggest mistake you could ever make.
My buddy Jay Snyder does a joke about having that bit of advice, and so he finds the biggest dude and he goes to punch him and he misses. And that's how that dude figured out they were fighting. Jay's a fucking laugh riot. Look up Jay Snyder on YouTube. Fucking great dude. He's from Dayton, Ohio. Well, he lives in Dayton. He's from Jackson, Ohio, which is a fucking redneck shithole, buddy. It is.
You said one of the ways to avoid it is to not go into debt. Is that a situation you will often come across, like having to
people
take
will try
money
to get
or
you in
needing
debt.
to take money?
Well,
Compensatory.
people will try to get you in debt.
Yeah.
Because they can make more money off of extorting you than they can you just paying back the debt with a little bit of interest.
So like you pay us this for protection, and you
Well,
keep
not
paying
necessarily
till you're
like
out
that,
of
but
money.
like
and then,
like, hey buddy, do you want some snacks and a cup of coffee?
okay.
It's like, oh yeah, I just got here, I ain't got shit yet. You know, that's fine. Just give me 2 cups back of coffee tomorrow, or when you get your shit.
Is there like anything like you want to order something from the outside and they bring it in via cake?
They've got a commissary.
I never got anything via cake, but
We can tell right now Pat's all of his experience with prison has been via movie. He's never been or have known anyone to have gone to prison.
It's like exactly what
There's one
Jay
guy.
was saying, like about the watching Oz. Pat is that guy that you're talking about that just watched Oz, and that's his whole perspective of prison.
So there was a guard down in I was in a state camp in Williamstown, and there was some crazy shit that happened the week that I got there. There was an 18-year-old kid. This didn't happen in the camp. This happened in the county jail there, which they're on the same property. 18-year-old kid got a DUI, still in high school, and the guards put him in a cell with these dudes who just got a bunch of meth charges. They're doing like 17, 18 Fed years. And Fed time, you do 80%, no parole. You know what I mean? They're fucking going. You know, they're not
serving
happy
12
about
before they even get an opportunity to get
right.
out.
And they fucking raped the kid. You know, he ended up suing the jail and getting $27 million out of it. And
Holy shit!
all the guys back in the state camp were like, "Man, I will let somebody fuck me up the ass for $26 million." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's great if you know you're getting $26 million. When you're just being held down and told they're going to murder you and you get fucking forcibly sodomized, that's not the same thing as hey."
Rape
Give you
me.
$26 million.
Yeah.
Let me put my wiener in your butthole.
Yeah, it's
you know
not
what I
like-
mean? Those are so different.
It's
Fucking
not like
circumstances.
how much money would you give me to fuck me in the ass? It's like, no, you might die in this situation, get AIDS and all this other fucking crazy shit.
Have you ever heard of Khalif Browder?
I have heard the name, but I can't.
He was a kid from New York who was arrested wrongfully for stealing a kid's backpack when he had a witness along with him during the arrest, and he was at a party with multiple witnesses. They pulled him over, arrested him, took him downtown just for questioning, and then he spent the next 3 years at Rikers Island. He was raped by both guards and inmates. He was held in a solo, or what's it? When you're by
Solitary
yourself,
confinement.
solitary confinement. He spent a lot of that time in solitary confinement. They starved him.
Is there a documentary on Netflix about that kid?
There is a
I
documentary.
saw
on
that.
Netflix
Yeah, that's
about
where I
that
knew the
kid.
name from. Yeah, I did see that.
It's really tough, especially since the whole premise of it is him now out of prison and them combating the state of New York. And you're like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, go ahead, win your case, dude. And then at the end, it's like, oh, he killed himself because of the psychological damage
Right.
this all did to him.
And people don't understand the long-lasting effects of trauma, man. It really...
Oh, he tried to kill himself 4 times in prison. And to this day, his mother still has no justice for that. The
Right.
state of New York took her son away. He came back for a short time and took his own life because of what they did to
Or
him.
how
in there.
about what happened to the Memphis 3 with Damien Eccles and them, where they put him in fucking jail for 20 years for a murder that they didn't commit, put Damien Eccles on fucking death row, and then when they exonerated him from the crime for the first Paradise Lost that came out in the 90s, the HBO documentary, they finally they have a way to get him out of jail, but it's going to take years to get a new trial, while Damien Eccles might get executed any fucking day that the state decides, so they have to take the Alfred plea, which basically says I'm not guilty and the state's going to release me, but I'm pleading guilty to exonerate the state of any fucking wrongdoing, so they can't sue the state of Arkansas. They can't get any money for
Is
the
that
20
Arkansas or
years
Tennessee?
it might be Tennessee.
I think it's Tennessee,
'Cause
yeah.
Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, that's right. So they can't sue the state for any wrongdoing. They can't get any of the fucking money back. But if they hadn't done that, the other two weren't on death row. The other two decided to do it because Damien Echols could have been executed while they were waiting for a new trial to get them exonerated, even though they had fucking forensic evidence for it. And they talk about red tape this, and they can't just do the bullshit. You can absolutely do this tomorrow, and they should. They fucking spent the best years of their entire life, and they lost them all in jail after they all. And there's so many points to that, like the kid with the 71 point IQ that fucking they got a confession out of after 12 hours of interrogation. He's 16 years old with the 71 point IQ, and they only filmed the last 40 minutes of a 12-hour fucking interrogation.
They basically yelled at him to plead guilty.
They do it all the time.
They do it frequently. They trick people into taking plea deals.
Are you raising your hand?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to interrupt.
That's adorable.
Sorry, I'm trying to be polite. I have a serious question about prison and jail. Is there a secret section where there's one man that's in solitary confinement behind a plexiglass door, and he's guarded 24 hours, and no one ever goes down there because he'll kill you as soon as he sees you?
Pat just saw
like
Deadpool
Hannibal
2.
Lecter or Juggernaut or some shit. Spoiler alert.
You son of a bitch. You
He
spoiled
started this
Deadpool
with
2.
a serious question. He said,
No,
this
I'm serious.
Is a serious
I'm serious.
question.
Is there a Juggernaut-like person in prison at all?
Pat,
Hannibal Lecter-like?
I've never been to jail. Let me answer the question for you. Nope, there sure isn't. All right, moving on.
Like a Mr. Freeze kind of situation where he's like in a special containment
You
center.
think I was in fucking Arkham? Like, that's not where I was.
Like there's secret supervillains we don't know about?
Yeah, the Cincinnati supervillains.
Are you having a
I think-
shortage issue in your
So
headphones?
let's
Yeah, it's
talk.
cool, though. We can
so
just
this
ignore
brings
it.
me to my next thing. I really did want to talk about what I did hear about prison. Now, I do know someone that worked at Guantanamo Bay, and he's told me some crazy shit from in there, allegedly. So, I don't know if I ever told you this story before, but basically, whenever someone's going to Guantanamo Bay, it's because they're coming to America to kill Americans and kill themselves. Can you guys hear me okay?
You're fine.
Okay, so they would come into America to kill Americans and to kill themselves. So they come from these malnourished places, so they come here stick people, basically. And then when they're actually in there, they just work out at all times, so they're brick shit houses. So they're just really scary guys at that point. So when they're in there, this place is so secure, and it's actually like held to higher standards than what we keep our own prisoners at, because when they do that, they're trying to make sure they don't kill themselves, of course, because they want to get information about terrorism and things like that. So whenever these guards, he was a guard, one of the security leaders of the area, maybe like the sergeant or something, he said that they always had numbers instead of name tags on their side, on their jackets and stuff, because if they found out anything, even though this was the most guarded prison in the world, if some of these people, like some specific prisoners, found out just their first name, they'll find out everything about you within 12 hours. So, I know it sounds a little far-fetched. So, one time, I'm not saying this is real, this is what I was told. So, I want to get into conspiracy theories after this. But basically, he said one day, the reason they say that is because one of the guards came in and he said, like, for example, his name was Dave. Someone said, "Hey, Dave," or something. Within 12 hours, that guard, the terrorist that was there, said, "Hey, so how's your son doing with your wife, this name, in this car, driving down this road at this particular time, heading here?" And they had no idea why he would know that, and it was all true. So he had to get a whole relocation program and things like that. Now, he was not allowed to tell me a lot of details on this because obviously
He hadn't thought them up yet.
Yeah, it
Who
wasn't.
knows? It could be complete bullshit.
It's bullshit.
But
story.
he told me stories about like the mace they use there. That some of these terrorists that when they're trying to like attack someone, for example, and trying to get out, or let's say they're trying to kill themselves, they'll pull out this mace that is apparently so bad that they would rather give up and not get maced than kill themselves.
Have you ever been maced at all?
No, I actually have
you?
sprayed.
Yeah.
I sprayed mace into a garbage can once and I vomited.
He has a getting mace story. Tell
I'd
us.
love to hear
That's
that.
not a good story.
Yeah, that's the one we want to
It was
hear.
a fucking accident in a fucking park bathroom. We were like just spraying it on the wall, and then it fucking came back on us. That was pretty fucking awful. I've been in cells where they just spray it into the cell like it's not like a stream like the kind you can buy at like the corner fucking store,
Right.
where it just you get it right in their eyes, or a lot of cops carry it right in your eyes. It's like a fog. that shit sucks.
Oh, it's horrible.
The thing that you're talking about, though, is weaponized ghost peppers. They used the ghost chili peppers, and they weaponized it, basically. They also use it as a deterrent for elephants in India.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they're so scared of it. Luke had something that he wanted to interject, though.
I thought that there weren't guards in Guantanamo Bay. There were guards outside of Guantanamo Bay.
I don't
they don't
know.
give
I
a
don't know.
shit that anything that happens
Pretty much
inside,
everyone in
it's
there-
unless they try to escape.
No, pretty much everyone in there is in solitary. They keep them away from each other so they can't plot escape and shit.
That's
I don't
how-
know too much about it, to be honest. It's
The
just what the
reason
guy who told what he told me.
You know the reason they keep them there, right? Is because it's not on U.S. soil and they don't have to give them constitutional rights.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why your story doesn't really make sense to me, because I'm like, well, where the fuck would they get the ability to?
That's
like,
what I'm saying. I
Well,
don't
They
know.
cannot, yeah, they can't communicate with
How would
anybody.
they do that?
Yeah, they don't communicate with anybody, but it's not a problem now, right? Because President Obama closed it like he said he was going to.
Oh
right?
yeah, everything's fine now. We live in a magical fucking fairy tale world.
So let's get into conspiracy theories, because I really want to hear some of your conspiracy
We
theories.
didn't ever close up his story though. Can we get into
Oh, yeah,
this
let's
after
close that.
we?
Please,
How did
please.
just to continue on what we were just talking about? How did like alcoholism to fucking heroin addiction, all the way to like homelessness, like recovery, you fail at it, in between doing drugs, going to jail, getting picked up for heroin, all this stuff, how does it eventually lead to you being sober and then doing comedy? Like, I know you've been tortured to death at every fucking radio show or podcast you've done with how'd you get into comedy, but it is kind of interesting. How do you go from this fucking super criminal lifestyle to like, I'm gonna get clean, stay clean for 12 years, and I'm gonna pursue this thing that's super unlikely for you to ever become successful at, and you fucking done it. You're doing it as we speak. How'd that happen, man?
Oh, so once I got out, I rocked hard for like 9 months, and ever
What do you
since
mean by rocked hard?
like just fucking partying, doing dope, drinking, shooting
Gotcha.
coke, whatever. And I've had this suicidal ideation issue since I was a kid, and like it was getting worse and worse, and I was thinking about killing like I just don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live like this, and I can't imagine any other life than this. I want to die. And so I went to St. Luke out in Florence, and told them I was going to kill myself, and I had a plan to stand in front of a train and all this bullshit, and they brought me a little paper suit. And then when I see the doctor the next day, he's like, it's very clear you have a long history of substance abuse. Have you ever been to rehab? And I was like, no, I went to this Christian rehab that I fucking was nonsense.
Through God, you'll be healed.
Dude, we went to these crazy ass church services where like everybody there is like driving these beat up piece of shit cars, and the pastor, she's driving a fucking Jaguar. You know what I mean? It was
Classic
just-
Joel Osteen story.
Exactly, that type of shit. And so I told him all that, and he was like, well, what if we can get the state to pay for you to go to a 28-day program? Would you go? And I was like, fuck it. You know what I mean? I'll do whatever.
Looking
And,
for anything at that point.
right,
Scraping
and-
the bottom of the barrel.
So I met some guys there that I could hear what they were hear what they were saying, which that's really what it takes most of the time, is somebody to talk to you that you can listen to, that you can hear, and
Smell what they're stepping in.
right, and
Pick up what they're putting down.
Flowing with the
so
lava.
I started doing the work that they all did, and I got to the point where I was making amends, and I was like, you know what, I don't feel sick anymore, so I'm not going to take this medicine anymore. This is uncomfortable. I don't like this. I'm just going to say I did it, and I relapsed, and I caught another possession of heroin charge and a fucking persistent felony offender charge.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but so you absolutely do you believe that if you had went all the way with all the 12 steps, that you would be at that point, if you had apologized, taken that 9th step, and
It's not just apologizing, it's about making right, like actually making right. Like I was given a script the second time around when I came back, which I'll get to that in a second. So so I stayed sober for like 8 months. I relapsed. I ripped and ran for like another 3 or 4 months, caught another possession charge. They sent me to a place called the Healing Place in Louisville, Kentucky, which is a homeless shelter that offers a recovery program. And when I came back, I hooked up with some guys that were also very old school, like the first guys I had hooked up with, even possibly a little more hardcore than those guys. But I was given a script for amends at that point, which, I'm sorry doesn't mean shit. Like everybody that knew me knew I was a sorry motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like there was no doubt that as to how sorry I was. And but that doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry. I apologize. But so the script I was given is given in a way so that you don't re-victimize somebody or justify or minimize your bad behavior. So the script that I was given was this. It's like, hi, my name is Jay. I currently live a life which requires me to make right wrongs I've done in my past. May I speak to you? If they say no, I shut my fucking mouth and I go away and I come back in a year and try again. If they say yes, I continue with, this is a harm that I'm clear on. And then in a way that doesn't re-victimize them, I explain it. Not, I robbed you. I was dishonest and forceful with money. Because to say that I robbed you means that I have that power over you. And then I list all the harm that I'm clear on, and then when I'm done, I say, is there any harm that I'm unclear on? And then I shut my fucking mouth and I listen to whatever they have to say. And that's the difficult part. You know what I mean? It's the unintended consequences that you cause to people that really fucks you up. You know what I mean? And fucks them up, you know? When they're done speaking, I say, what can I do to make it right? And whatever it is, I do it immediately. If I owe this person money, I save that money up before I go to see them. But whatever they say to do, I do immediately, unless they tell me to kill myself, in which case I go and talk to my sponsor and we decide whether or not that's absolutely necessary. You know, but we don't just dismiss it. You know what I mean? We talk about it.
Right.
So yeah, do I think I would have stayed clean and sober the first time had I completed that process? I can tell you the only thing that's different between that first time and the second time is the second time I completed the process and went through it multiple more times.
Right, so who fucking knows? I mean, we could make up what if scenarios all day long. But, like, my point with saying it is that, like, you are a true, like, when you said earlier in the podcast, like, I came up with old school AA guys, maybe not AA, but, like, maybe NA,
yeah.
Whatever it is, the recovery program that you're in. I know that it might be anonymous, but whatever it is, old school meaning that, like, if you're doing anything at all, you're not only sober, and if you're not completing the steps, you're not in the fucking program. You're not really doing this.
You're around it, you know, and they always told me they don't give you coins for coming around.
Yeah.
They give you coins for staying.
Right. So, but you are a part of that mentality that if you're, like, even if they're the recovered heroin, I've seen you post about it. Like
Suboxone?
If you're on fucking Suboxone, I'm clean on Suboxone. Like, shut the fucking fuck up.
Not a fan of Suboxone. And the reason I'm not a fan of Suboxone is that I feel like Suboxone is more dangerous to heroin addicts than heroin is. And the reason I think that is because those people who are on Suboxone, they're not getting better. They're not treating either the mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, condition. I'm not going to get into the fucking argument over whether or not it's a disease. If you're not treating that condition, then it's not getting any better. You know what I mean? So if you take a horse thief and you sober him up, all you have is a sober horse thief. You know what I mean? There's work to be done, and people who take Suboxone typically aren't doing any of that work. They're just doing the maintenance program. Now, for anybody that's listening that is fucking upset, let me clear something up. I'm glad that Suboxone exists. I'm glad that methadone exists. There are people out there that is as good as it's going to get for them. The problem is the doctors don't fucking weed those people out. You know what I mean? They don't find out who could get better. Sometimes it's not even people who are real drug addicts. Sometimes people have mental issues that they need to address, and they're just self-medicating.
They're mitigating the issues through drugs, and whatever that drug is, they're going to use to mitigate the actual issue. It's just fucking symptoms of the actual problem.
Say you have a real bad bipolar or schizophrenia or whatever it is, you find that opiate narcotics or whatever distracts you from it enough or mitigates the symptoms of it enough to where you can survive, and then you get sober, and you no longer have that mitigating chemical, but you never address through a doctor or whatever your condition is, you know. So that person is not going to stay sober because they're not using because of drug addiction. They're using because it's the only way they know to deal with all the other mental illness that they have. So those people don't necessarily need a 12-step program. They don't necessarily need rehab. They need a doctor who's willing to monitor their meds and get them on something that will actually help them.
And most doctors aren't there to help you. They're there to shuffle you in and out like it's a factory job. Like you press the fucking...
Part of the problem with that, though, is so many citizens, just like normal people, have sued doctors for not giving them or doing what they want, you know? So
malpractice suits, too. Like
that's part of the reason we're in this opiate epidemic that we are, is because so many people fucking filed malpractice lawsuits against doctors for not giving them pain meds, saying... You know, they just didn't care enough about me. I'm in serious back pain, whatever it is. So doctors now, just to not deal with it, it's just the same reason we're dealing with so many medical-resistant staph infections, is because people take antibiotics when they don't need them. People come in with a cold, and the doctor's like, well, it's viral. It's going to run its course. And they're like, well, you're not going to do anything? I don't want to fucking pay, you know. So doctors started giving antibiotics. So people took antibiotics when they didn't need them, so all the bacteria started becoming resistant to
all
the
that.
antibiotics.
And
Yeah,
you get MRSA, and you get staph infections, and you get things that are completely like it's the exact same issue. Absolutely.
So let's get into the conspiracy theories.
We didn't ever wrap it up how he went to comedy. from
Oh
that,
yeah,
though.
so
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, Pat.
so I go.
We'll
to,
get to it. We'll get to it.
Sorry, Pat.
So I go to the healing place. I do the work that's suggested. I mean, I come home. I get with some super old school dudes. I do the work they suggest to me. I get married. I get divorced. Shit goes downhill. Shit comes back up. You know what I mean? Life is a roller coaster. You know what I mean? You can't ever expect. And so these dudes that I met, modern recovery is a lot like modern Christianity. There's a lot of Joel Osteens out there fucking selling a dream that's never going to exist. You know, I've heard Joel Osteen say, if you're not getting the things out of life that you expect, you just don't believe. Your relationship with Christ is not good. But if you read the Bible, Christ didn't say I'm bringing love and happiness and prosperity. He said, those say that I come as a dove, and I come not as a dove. I come as a sword to cleave mother from child. And, you know, he basically says there's going to be some shit. Like, if you really follow me and do what I say, shit ain't going to be easy, you know? But Joel Osteen's out there saying if it's not easy, you don't believe right.
Are you a big like Christian believer or anything like that? It sounds like
I don't
read
like
scripture.
I have read a lot. I've read a lot of the Quran. I haven't read a ton of the actual Buddhist teachings, but I've read a lot of Thich Nhat Hanh's interpretations of it. I've read part of the Bhagavad Gita. I can't fucking say it. But I started reading that back. I used to be into the beat authors real big. Jack Kerouac, Neil Cassidy, fucking William S. Burroughs. But I started reading that shit back then. But yeah, I've read a lot. I never ever profess what my personal religious beliefs are. I say Hail Satan a lot.
Right.
So
Heil Geen.
But yeah, so but I know a lot about it, and we have a lot of problems in recovery that are very in line, parallel even with problems in a modern American church. You know, you have people coming in, you know, you show up and they're like, well, you know, if you come in and you do what we do, everything's going to be great. And it's fucking not going to be great, dude. Life is hard. Life sucks, dude. It really does. Shit is hard. There's a lot of injustice in the world. Sometimes I have a better time ignoring it than others.
But going back into the guys that you came up with,
but they told me life was going to be hard. They were like, I can't promise you it'll get better. I'll promise it'll get different. And it has gotten different consistently. Nothing stays the same. The only thing that stays the same is that change is a constant. And so anyway, I went through the marriage, the divorce, the fucking all that shit. And at 5 years clean and sober, a buddy of mine, David Policastro, he was putting together a mix that was like dudes that were like hardcore dudes, but also played like acoustic folk music and comedy together. And he was like, I know you've talked about it. Do you want to try it? And I was like, fuck yeah, man. And so I was down at the Mad Hatter in Covington. And
righteous.
What was super funny about the situation is that most of the audience were straight edge kids, you know, and most of the other comics are like telling like beer and weed jokes, you know what I mean? And all these dudes are just like staring at them like, this isn't funny to me. You know, and then I went up and just made fun of Covington and a few people I knew in the audience, and I kind of had an advantage over those other guys because they were my friends in the audience. You know, not all of them, but some of them. You know, I was definitely I knew the way that they thought, so I made fun of Covington. I made fun of some people in the audience, and I got some laughs. And I was like, this is it.
Did you feel good about that first time? Or
Fuck yeah, I felt great about it.
Now, what was the first time that you ate your dick? How many times into it before you finally before it was just like plate of dicks, go ahead, swallow them all right now in front of everybody?
It was a while, man. It wasn't...
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't early on that bad shit happened. You know what I mean? Like, early on, I felt like... I think part of it is that I was laughing at myself so much because I was nervous, and that's funny to see someone constantly cracking up, you know... But yeah, so like the first 5 or 6, 7, 8 times, I did pretty well. And then I immediately got into doing shows at like recovery places. My buddy Rob books shows at different AA clubhouses, and we would go do fundraisers for them. And so I had a lot of stories that only those people would identify with. So I had an extra advantage there.
Was the environment there more supportive, and it made you feel like you were more likely to succeed as opposed to fail in like a normal comedy club where nobody knows what your perspective is or anything like that? Or do you just feel like you're a funny fuck and you're gonna kill it no matter where you go?
Now I can go pretty much anywhere. There were some things that were taught to me about how I structure myself, with most relatable stuff to least relatable stuff. If I show an audience the way that I think, I can get by with crazier shit at the end. but they have to be able to trust me.
They have
you know
to
what
be
I mean?
on the same page with you for.
They don't necessarily have to be on the same page, but they have to see the page that I'm on. You know what I mean? They don't have to think like me, but they have to say, I could see how he could see it that way. And
that's why you were saying earlier that bit wasn't going to work about talking about like the other kin people.
it's just too crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's completely true, but it's people think, no way is there someone out there that's that crazy. And, you know, like the punchlines of jokes don't have to necessarily be true, but the premise has to be at least believable.
Yeah.
You know, so the premise of that joke is just not believable. But yeah, so those early shows I did pretty well, and part of that is I brought a lot of my friends out. You know what I mean? So
Springer shows and things like that.
right, and then when I started doing like places farther away, or my friends got tired of coming, then it got more difficult, and then I had to actually buckle down. And I think what made it hardest for me in the beginning is that we live in this culture where it's difficult to give someone honest criticism because so many people freak out about it. You know what I mean? They'll instantly want to call someone some sort of bigot or whatever if you say anything, you know, about them at all. Like you see somebody wearing 2 different shoes, and you're like, hey man, what's up with the 2 different shoes? And they're, fuck you fucking racist son of a bitch. It's like, hey, it's like we're both white, man. What are you doing?
Just asking an honest question here.
Right. And
to kind of pull it back just for 1 second, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you being an addict, do you see any similarities at all with what you had just said about like the first time that you did comedy? You were like, this is it. This is for me. Is that kind of like is it in any way relatable to like the chasing the dragon feeling of like continuously wanting to get that high? Is it like you always want to get back to that same feeling that you had the first time that you got laughs on stage, or is it just
I don't know that it changes. It gets to the point where you're a product, and what you deliver is a product, and you want your customers to be happy. You know what I mean? So
anything becomes a job.
finding consistency becomes the difficult thing, you know, because early on, like I said, those first, say, 8 to 10 shows I did really well, and then I started not doing so well, and it was like, well, these are the same jokes I was doing there. What's different? And I honestly couldn't tell you now. You know, at the time, I wrote all my jokes out long form, and I read every writing exercise that I could read, and fucking started doing those, and I started doing stream of conscious writing every morning when I woke up. And but the thing that made it difficult is that I didn't get any real criticism. Like, there were people that didn't like me, but nobody said, hey, maybe you're doing this wrong. You know what I mean? Everybody just patted me on the back, and that's kind of what we tend to do. And, you know, early on, like, I wanted that criticism. Like, tell me how to get better at this. I'm someone who does well with negative criticism. Yeah. You know, like if it's a legit negative criticism.
As long as it's not just them tearing at you just to tear at you.
Which that's fine, too. You know what I mean? But be specific. You know, don't tell me that I'm just a terrible piece of shit. Like, so yesterday on Facebook, I got in an argument in this group for making fun of old people. It's called Please Show to Jim, haha. But it came...
What are you, ageist, Jay Armstrong?
Well, the whole group...
super ageist? You son of a bitch, get off the podcast right now.
The whole group is based in ageism, right? And so somebody had shared a picture of a minion holding a beer, and it said something about, if you're drinking rum before noon, you're not an alcoholic, you're a pirate. And some girl posted, what I want to know is why that minion's holding a beer. And I was like, don't assume that drink's gender. That drink identifies as rum, right? And this dude's like, oh, so you just think it's a fucking choice and gender is only biological. And I was like, can you show me where I said that? And he was like, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I'm like, no, show me the words that I used, because I don't want to come across as that I think that.
You're such a good troll. I really quickly want to say this. The reason that I even know this dude at all is because some girl on Facebook posted, I remember this vividly because of how hard Jay trolled me. Some girl had posted something about Blackfish, the documentary about killer whales and how they're being imprisoned by SeaWorld, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So this got me in a very, like, the most social justice-y that I can get, which is towards animals, because I think humans are garbage for the most part, except for the ones that I love. But, like, with the animals, I know that they're fucking it. Blah, 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 long story boring. We got into a fucking discussion about zoos, which I've changed my mind on. But I started saying some real dumb shit about zoos being animal jails, and then he comes in with fucking like he came in with logic at first, and then despite all logic, I'm still with my point. So I think at that point he realizes like, oh yeah, okay, so he's super like this way with an argument, so I'm just gonna troll the shit out of him. And it went from a zoo argument to him telling me that my uncle molested me when I was a kid, and that I should just be all right with that, and like not to take it out on other people on the internet. And he trolled me so hard and so good. By the end of it, I was like, I'm such a like I want to win, and I'm such a like narcissist.
Crying.
I always think that I'm the best. Like, so I'm like, fuck. But I can realize when I've been got, and he got me super good. So I was like, friend request immediately, and then I just like hit him up like, dude, you trolled the fuck out of me. Good job. Like, that's awesome. And then I like just started seeing him troll people on the internet. It's so fucking fun to watch this dude. You say you don't do it anymore, but that's an art form when you're good at it. When you have no emotional connection.
But
to
I wasn't really intending to like troll this girl. You know what I mean? I was just making a silly joke. You know what I mean? Because that's one of the big things, like the knee-jerk reactions, like don't assume something's gender. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Calm down. You know what I mean? Maybe see what this person actually means. So that was kind of the joke more than anything, just being like a silly, hey, here's an overreaction.
Right.
And that dude came in and I'm like, point out where I said that. So like that's the thing. Like when people come at me with criticism, like tell me, okay, so the first guy that ever really gave me any kind of criticism, his name's Brian Million. He's a comic in Cincinnati. Probably the most helpful anyone has ever been is I come off stage. I had been doing comedy for about a year, maybe a year and a half.
You're a baby still, as far as comedy's concerned.
Yeah, so I'm running a show at Tickets in Covington, and I come off stage at the end, and he was like, you know what, man, you're really funny, but you're a terrible comic. And I was like, tell me exactly what you mean. And we sat and talked for like 4 hours. You know what I mean?
It's
and
awesome when you find a person like that.
Yeah, he was willing to be honest with me. And, you know, since then, I have tried to help people the same way that...
Well, wait, what were some of the things that he told you during that 4 hour? Just
there was almost no joke structure. It was just stories that I was telling. And if you're going to tell a long story, it needs to be told in a series of setups and jokes.
Set up, punchline, punchline.
Not necessarily that simple, but there has to be some... People don't want to listen to 2 minutes of talking for one big punchline at the end.
There's got to be things strewn out in between.
Right.
Make them laugh at, and a big payoff at the end.
Right, exactly.
Spice it up.
And so he gave me some writing exercises and told me about this book to read. And then he actually ended up doing comedy workshops at the Funny Bone. And so I went to all those. And some of them helped, I think. You know what I mean? It's just... some of those exercises definitely helped. I started writing all my jokes out long form. And there's a few things you have to assume about most audiences. One, they're drunk. And two, they're stupid. You know what I mean? You're not getting... the cream of the crop at every show.
Dumb it down for the crowd.
You have to dumb it down. You don't have to dumb it down for the smart people. There will be 100 smart people in the audience of 300, you know. But you don't have to make it smarter for them to get it. You know what I mean? If you dumb it down. So I have a buddy who's a school teacher, and he says, you only have to teach the dumbest kid, Jay. You don't have to teach the whole class. You know, so I kind of applied that to comedy. So I started taking out words. If I had a 3-syllable word that I could find a 2-syllable word or a 1-syllable word, I would swap it out so that I could get to the funny parts faster, and they're easier to understand.
Swap out detrimental for fucking shit up. Yeah, I got you.
Harmful.
Yeah, harmful.
Is at least shorter than detrimental. You know what I mean? That's a 4 for a 2. You know, so yeah, so I started doing that kind of stuff. But, you know, I never really expected to do it as a career when I started. I'm almost 8 years in now, and it's been a fucking wild ride. You know what I mean? I've met some pretty fucking cool people. I've met some pretty shitty people, too. A lot of fucking deep, off-the-edge social justice warriors in comedy.
Can you tell us an example?
There's probably so fucking many.
One that comes to your mind.
Okay,
instantly.
so here's one. This is not actually from a comic. This was from an audience member. There used to be a TV show called Abby and Brittany about these conjoined twins that are conjoined like at the breastplate. So it looks like one girl with 2 heads.
Right.
And I did a series of jokes about them, and it wasn't even about them. It was about the show, right? Like so the whole premise of the show. This is actually from the bit, but the whole premise of the show is they want to be treated like normal people, right? So the very first scene in the very first episode is them buying rhinestone-covered top hats. Like, come on, man, you want to be treated like normal people. You can't fucking do that. You know, the only thing weirder than coming to a party and seeing someone with a rhinestone-covered top hat would be 2 people that happen to show up at a party with rhinestone-covered top hats. Man, if you want to be treated like normal people, fucking act like it. And their friends say shit like, you know what, I don't even notice anymore. Oh, really? You don't fucking notice that? You know? And what was weird about the bit is like the meaner I got towards Abby and Brittany, the better it worked. So the end of the punchline actually ended up being something a buddy of mine gave me, and I quit doing the joke because I couldn't top it. Which I don't use any lines really that anybody's given me at all. Some people do that. It's fine. I don't look down at those people at all. I've given tons of friends lines. For me, if it doesn't seem like something I would say, it doesn't feel authentic. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
So if anybody's listening to this that writes, that takes lines from other people that are given to them, fucking good. Do it. Whatever helps. You know what I mean? I'm not judging in any way. It's just I prefer not to. I actually sold a joke recently, which was pretty cool.
How much will you get for one joke? You don't have to say.
I got like $100 for that one.
That's awesome.
dope.
It's not a
man.
super long joke.
Just for an idea that
but
came
it
out
works,
of your head that's funny.
It works so much better for the person that has it now. It was a joke about Pride, the festival.
Yeah.
And this person is a homosexual person. And it just, even though there's nothing hateful in it at all, I'm not making fun of the festival at all. It's not worth it. You know what I mean?
It makes more sense for the gay guy to be able to say faggot than you.
Well, I would never say that.
Kidding.
But
Wow, Cody.
but
What did
yeah.
I say? Did I say gay the wrong way?
No, you made an assumption.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm doing the bit about Abby and Brittany, and the punchline is it's so mean now. But
Say it. Come on.
So it's you don't notice anymore, really? Would you notice leprechauns and dragons and shit? That's a fucking two-headed monster right there. But so after a show one night, this drunk fucking suburban white lady who are the fucking worst.
Every fucking time.
Those are the type of people that go into Hortons and they shit on the ground and they throw it at the fucking
That lady,
cash register.
I feel like that lady was way more urban. You know what I mean? Like she's definitely used to doing the wall sitting in an alley, taking a fucking dump. But so this lady comes up to me and she was like, "I will have you know that I think it's fucking disgusting that you make fun of Abby and Brittany." I was like, "Be honest with you, I don't really make fun of Abby and Brittany. I make fun of the show." And she was like, "My mother worked with retarded children." And I'm like, wait, hold on. Do you think I'm making fun of retarded people? There's not a retarded person in that joke. Abby and Brittany are college graduates, you fucking asshole, you know? And dude, she started screaming and fucking throwing shit. And I was just like, you know what? You are
Throwing shit?
Yeah, fucking empty drink cup and
At
shit.
you?
At
Did
me.
she shit
yeah.
on
Well,
the side of an
she
alleyway?
did not shit in the side of an alleyway and wing it at me. Although I probably would have respected that. You know what I mean? That's fucking hardcore. I
Throw
love
the
that
shit
lady.
on you, splatters in your face, and you're like, you got me.
This might make you guys feel good about that story. I told the story of the lady furiously shitting in Tim Hortons on 700 WLW.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, did you?
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
me-
How'd you have to tone it down to be able to say the word? You gotta say poo poo.
You gotta say poop, yeah.
Poo poo.
You can
You
actually,
say poop. You gotta say poo poo.
Poopy.
you can get away with saying a lot more on the radio than you might think. You can say ass. You can say bastard.
Yeah. You could say the name of our
Bastards.
podcast.
Right. But yeah, so it was so funny because I'm on with Gary Jeff Walker, and he notices that I just start dying laughing during the break. He's like, "You all right over there?" And I fucking just showed him, and he was like, "Oh my god, can we talk? You want to talk about that?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I want to talk about that."
On that show, were you on with a guy that sells lawn chairs by chance that called in?
I was not.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, no, I was because he's the dude that was like, "Soccer sucks, man," and I was like, "You're right."
Did he just call in and say all that?
Well, we were talking about FC Cincinnati, and so he calls in, and he was like, "This is DeAndre from Erlanger," and
His name's not DeAndre.
that's
know
what he
this
goes
dude-
by, though.
No, I know this dude peripherally through my boss. I want to get him on the podcast because he's fucking ridiculous. That dude calls in all the time and pretends to be DeAndre, but he's not really DeAndre.
You're
he's just-
ruining this for people out there.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. No one's listening.
You think there's a lot of crossover between this show and 700
Yeah, I know,
WLW's
right?
audience?
Exactly. Like,
We are.
nobody's fucking listening that knows that shit.
You doubt it.
That dude's a white dude that calls in and pretends to be DeAndre and
Right.
then just like makes up ridiculous shit every single time. And my boss told me that he met those dudes in person and he walked up. He's waiting in line to meet the dudes from 700 WLW because he's never fucking met them in person. He's only called in. And he walks up and he shakes everybody's hand. And as he shakes the last person's hand, he leans in. He was like, "I'm DeAndre." And they were like, "Get the fuck out of here. You're DeAndre." And they just keep letting him call in all the time on some ridiculous shit. I'm sorry. My boss pointed it out to me, and that's actually why I hit you up to do the podcast, because he was like, "My buddy's on this thing." And I was like, "I know the fucking comedian dude peripherally through Facebook, so Let's get him on. I'm sorry to retract from the story. Keep going.
But no, yeah, that dude called in. It was funny because I hate soccer too. You know what I mean? So as soon as he was like, "Soccer sucks, man," I was like, "Yeah, it does." Going to a soccer game is fun. Watching it on TV is goddamn misery. Playing it is the fucking worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
I went to state for soccer.
Yeah,
It was
but
a
like
blast.
me, Jay is a husky boy,
Yeah.
and running around, goddamn it, how many years of smoking cigarettes did you do before you got on that?
Like
the
20,
vape?
man.
Yeah, 20,
Shit.
and you got to get out there and run around, kick a fucking ball into a hole. No thank you, sir. No fucking thank you. You don't
It's
even
a
get
lot
to hit
of
anybody.
running.
Yeah, here's the thing. I fucking, this is not the right way to say it, but I fucking beat heroin addiction. I could not stop smoking to save my life.
How'd you get off that finally?
Through fucking vaping. That's it.
The
You know what I mean?
Ocarina of Time and
still
Zelda gave you a douche flute to
I'm
play.
still a nicotine addict. You know what I mean? But I'm not fucking progressing any cancer anymore.
Yeah.
And it's another fun fight against the government. Like the government's really shitting on, and not so much now. During the Obama administration, man, the FDA was ready to shut it all down.
It's just propylene glycol and fucking flavor agents, like
Right, and nicotine.
and
Yeah.
nicotine by itself. The studies show that it's not
harmless,
harmful,
isn't
for
it?
you. Not
It is
harmless.
harmful,
There's
yeah.
issues that
Cardiovascular issues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's issues with.
So
your
there
veins.
are definitely issues with
Not
it.
huge issues.
Yeah, it's not it's not safe, but it
There-
is, according to the British Royal Ministry of Health, it is at least 95% safer to vape e-liquid than it is to smoke traditional cigarettes.
Yeah.
So that's what my aunt found out that my little cousin was smoking vape and weed and all this shit, and was like, asked her doctor, "How do you feel about vape?" And he was like, "Well, if they're smoking cigarettes and they go to vape instead and they're only doing vapes, you could pretty much smoke anything. You could smoke fucking nutmeg all day long and it'd be better for you. You could breathe in fucking smoke from a bonfire and it'll be better for you than smoking cigarettes any day of the week." So he was like, although I don't endorse it for people that have a fucking, like, already have a cigarette, that don't already have a cigarette addiction, if you do and you switch to that, it's gonna be, like he said, 95% fucking better for you. I don't know that study, so I won't quote it, but like, it's gonna be better for you automatically.
If you're listening and you want to look it up, it's a study done by Public Health England, which is a subsidiary of the Royal British Ministry of Health.
Comes dropping facts.
So
Facts are fun sometimes.
we're getting close to the end of the podcast, and I really want to get into those conspiracy theories. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I mean, I don't have very many.
Hold on a second, Pat. I want to interrupt with a different idea.
I don't have a ton of original conspiracy theories, but I like a lot. So here's the thing about Alex Jones.
Yes.
He used to be a completely different dude than he is now. He used to take on whatever administration was in office, period, with the craziest fucking shit, and it was just always super entertaining. And then for some reason, he sold out and bought into the whole fucking Trump idea.
They're making the frickin' frogs gay.
Yeah, yeah. Have you heard the song for that?
Yes.
Oh my god, it's fucking great.
It sounds fantastic.
I haven't. Can we pull that up, Pat?
The Goblin song is great too. Fucking dude.
What's the name of the song?
Frogs are gay or something?
Hold on.
Frickin' frogs gay.
Are you pulling it up?
I'm pulling it up. I'm better at looking stuff up than you are, so.
Yeah, I'm terrible, to be honest. I don't know why I'm always tasked with this shit.
No, I didn't find it, but I found this.
Found something completely off topic.
I would bump that at the club.
There's something wrong with that man.
All right.
So then there's a bunch of other ones. So this one right here is really good. This is the America First song. It's so fucking great. And then my favorite is just him screaming, and it might only be great like if you're actually watching it.
He's got his tongue sticking out and it's balled up in his mouth, and he's like about to have a fucking stroke as he's doing it.
But yeah,
What
it's the
the
fucking
fuck?
greatest shit. Now, the way I discovered Alex Jones was when I first got out of prison. You would have to download an MP3 player to your computer to be able to listen to MP3s, and the most popular one at the time was called Winamp. And they also had Winamp Television, and they had a station on Winamp Television called Freedom TV. And they would show all kinds of different crazy stuff. Like people who, like the original Coming of the Freegans. Are you hip to Freegans?
Not at all.
They only ingest stuff that is free. They do a lot of dumpster diving. They clean up a lot of shit out of... like they'll get heads of lettuce and cut off all the bad parts and still eat it and shit like that. But,
What?
and then one of them was called Affluenza, which was a documentary about how the rich are actually harming themselves as much as they're harming everybody else. But they also used to show a documentary called 9/11: The Road to Tyranny, which is an Alex Jones documentary where he doesn't imply that the Bush administration had something to do with 9/11. He flat out fucking
Accuses?
George Bush did 9/11, period, end of story.
Really?
Allegedly, Donald Rumsfeld. No, who's the other one? The other one, Dick Cheney, President Dick Cheney. I don't think.
Well, no,
George
he
Bush
he,
is a
he
president.
claims that it was Bush, and there was a lot of weird stuff that, like, actual facts that he has, that where a person were crazy enough they could believe it, right? So, like, Bin Laden's father and Bush Sr. are both part of a group called the Carlyle Group, which is an arms broker, and their son started a war. So, I mean, that might be coincidence. Maybe they did it on purpose. You know what I mean? It's fuck, who knows? You know, but there was a ton of different stuff, and then, like, there was a documentary about him breaking into Bohemian Grove during that the actual, like, elitist meeting that they had, and he gets chased out and shit. So, like, that was my introduction to Alex Jones, was while some of it was out on the deep end, he wasn't screaming about fucking Justin Bieber's haircut or fucking cops with mustaches or turning the freaking frogs gay. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that kind of got me into the whole conspiracy theory thing. And, you know, like, right now, the conspiracy theorist in me... So, like, Trump is saying that, you know, he thinks that there was some spies from the deep state that were put into his campaign. And there's some evidence to support maybe it's true. It also could just be coincidence. You know what I mean? Coincidence is not proof. Correlation is not causation. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that it did happen. But I really like to think that it did.
Are you guys hearing the radio?
I've been
Yes.
hearing the radio almost the entire podcast, but it's hardly noticeable. We can just keep going.
Yeah, it's
All
fine.
right.
But so, the conspiracy theorist in me would love to see that shit exposed, at the very least investigated, to find out, you know, because there was a lot of stuff through the Obama administration. Now, I'm a person who hates government, period. You know what I mean? What pisses me off is anytime I say anything about Democrats, some asshole always wants to call me a Trump supporter. And no, I'm not. Like, I thought it was great that he won because a lot of people were really upset. A lot of people who were convinced that they were right, could never be stopped, and fucking talked a lot of shit over the last few fucking years, were all crying real tears. That was funny to me. I enjoyed that. I was also happy that a white guy won because I could make fun of the president again without being called a racist. But everybody jumped on it so fucking hard that there's no point in doing Donald Trump jokes.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's my fucking Facebook feed constantly. It's all
everywhere.
it is.
Like, Saturday Night Live is just political now and shit like that.
Saturday Night Live's always been that
It's
way.
just like, it's
but
all-
it's the
I don't
same
see
joke
anything.
over
Yeah.
and over and over. Like, I get it. He's orange. He's old. He's racist. He's probably a fucking sexual predator.
Come up with a fucking
Yeah,
original
come up
angle,
with something
though.
new. And when I see an original Donald Trump joke, I fucking tell people, like, that's great. Thank you for writing something that is not the same fucking joke that I've heard 10,000 times
Until
already.
a month later when 600 people copy exactly what they're fucking doing, which is
Right.
what always fucking happens, and they'll blame it on parallel thinking.
So I've called out a bunch of comics for doing that kind of shit, and they're like, I wrote that joke. I said, no, dude, it's the same joke. And they're like, no, it's not. And so what I do is I go to Twitter and I fucking search for it, and I get screenshots of about 20 tweets and just fucking blast those all down the comments. Like,
Right.
these are all before yours.
There is absolutely parallel thinking, definitely, though, right?
Especially when it's low-hanging fruit.
Because you have a joke that isn't low-hanging fruit, and it's just an experience that you had about doing heroin, and can I ruin the punchline for the joke? I did heroin once.
Well, see, that's part of the setup for mine.
Yeah.
You know, whereas
okay, well, I won't ruin
Sean,
it, but Sean Rouse has a similar bit, but both of them come from a real place. You guys, it's a real fucking story for both of you.
Well,
guys.
here's the real truth about it: is that is something that is said in recovery rooms pretty regular.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like when I first said it, I didn't even mean it to be a joke. It was just part of the fucking setup.
Yeah.
You know, and what's real funny is like since I've really started studying comics and like watching stuff that I necessarily wouldn't watch before, I see a lot of stuff that I hear in different 12-step groups.
Stanhope talks about it all the time. He said he grew up with his mom in Alcoholics Anonymous, and there were some funny-ass fucking people in there telling legitimate bits that they just made. They weren't comedians. They're construction workers that are former alcoholics or former NA guys or whatever the fuck, and they're just in there fucking telling funny-ass fucking stories, and that's
Right.
where a lot of it originates, I feel like, for some people.
Right, and I've been talking about Xanax a lot lately. I don't want to give away that bit because it's something I'm currently doing.
Little
but,
peep, I'm guessing.
You know, the funniest meme I've seen recently is a purple Xanax with the fucking Thanos glove and fucking
And Little Peep disappearing.
Little Peep disappearing, and it says I don't feel good across the bottom. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was fucking great.
All of those have been great, the fucking Thanos memes, and some of them are pretty fucking awful. I can't really talk about the ones that I think are the funniest, I think. See,
Oh, this is the bastard sermon for a reason, bud.
Yeah,
you
go
go
ahead.
ahead and say the
Go balls
offensive.
deep. Nobody gives a fuck that's listening.
You know-
we get praised for like talking crazy shit.
I would love to talk about Lil Peep for a second.
Talk about it.
So I discovered Lil Peep 2 weeks before he died, right? And it was this video of him explaining how he knows his tattoos are all stupid and he doesn't remember getting most of
Oh
them.
yeah, I
And,
remember seeing that.
I was like, I gotta check this dude out. And then I started listening to it, and I was like, this dude's gonna kill himself. Like, this dude's for real depressed because he's saying shit that I think. You know what I mean? Like, I totally identified. Like, I didn't like how slow it was. You know what I mean? I can't say that I became like a big fan, but I definitely started posting the videos because people hated them. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things. And like, I post ghost videos a lot now, and people are like, it's fucking dumb. And I'm like, you just don't fucking get it. And which Ghost is the fucking greatest rock and roll band tour in the fucking world right now.
I like Ghost, but I don't like that new shit they're coming out with. But to each
you know
their
what?
own.
I think
There's
I
older
think
shit that
it's-
I don't like from them too, so maybe they'll get back to it.
I really think that it's good. I really like the new stuff.
I hate the way the new guy looks. I know that it's still Tobias Forge. I know that they've just put a new mask on him, but like I don't like how they looks, and I don't.
But it's
I don't
going to
like really-
change. It's going to change.
Yeah, I know it's going to be different, and that's what I'm not like falling off with Ghost. I had a friend that was like, I just ripped the Ghost patch off my fucking jacket because I hate him. I was like, come on, man. Every band's gonna have another album or another gimmick on the next time that you might not agree with. Like,
And typically the first two records are the best because they've had their entire career to come up with all their best music, and that's what they put on their first couple of records.
sophomore album issue.
And
with
then
it.
then you have to write a new album within a year. You know what I mean? I had 16 years to write the first one. You know,
I thought Meliora was fantastic though, and that's like what, their third
so
or fourth?
fucking good. It's the third full length.
And it's tremendous. And the fucking one of the best songs in that album is only released in like a Japanese copy. It's called Zenith. It's a
Right.
fantastic fucking song. It's got pianos in it and shit like that. And it's
They play it live,
tremendous. Jay's got a forearm tattoo of Ghost. So like
I
when,
do,
when he
yeah.
says that he fucking thinks they're one of the greatest rock and roll
Fucking
bands,
love 'em.
he's not just saying it. He's got them fucking inked on his
You
body.
want to hear something
forever.
controversial that I love?
Yeah.
I think the last great, like, straight up rock and roll band, like, I would call Ghost prog rock, progressive rock and roll.
Definitely.
People piss me off when they're like, man, it's just the worst fucking metal. It's not metal. It's not meant to be metal.
It's like
Fuck
rock
off.
opera. It's like Meatloaf
Yeah,
to me.
it's
or
prog
Kiss.
rock, man. It's the protest the hero of not metalcore. You know what I mean?
Test the Hero is the shit.
Fucking great, talented musicians.
Oh, yeah.
But it's meant to be. It's progressive metalcore. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's different.
It's experimental.
Greatest rock
the
band
greatest,
that you're gonna say?
the last truly great rock and roll band this world ever knew was Oasis.
Nickelback. No, I'm just kidding.
Oasis.
Oasis.
Oasis broke up because the
Like
members
Champagne
fucking hated each other,
Supernova?
right?
Yeah, Champagne Supernova, that same band. Yeah.
Those members fucking hated each other. That's why they're not still together. They could be
They
together
only one
making
album, didn't
millions.
they? Only one album.
There's like 9 albums.
There's 9
man.
albums.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I'm gonna have to delve deeper. Are they
and,
good?
And they're pretty much
they're
all
really good?
great from beginning to end. And the reason I say that they're the last like great straight rock and roll band is because they weren't like a punk rock band. They weren't like a heavy rock band. They weren't a soft rock band. They were a fucking rock and roll band. You know what I mean? That's what they played, like Chuck Berry style riffs, which maybe they got mad because Liam took too many of the hookers to fart and pee on. You know. But like in America, we view them as like these pop stars that did Champagne Supernova and Wonderwall. But in England, like when you saw Oasis, like you fucking crossed the street. Because fucking Liam might just kick you in the nuts for no reason. He went to jail for kissing a cop on the mouth. He beat the dude up from Blur, the guy from Gorillaz. Beat the shit out of that
They
guy.
come out with a new
repeatedly.
album, I believe, in a month.
Matt Damon or
His
Jamie
name-
Albarn?
Whatever the singer
Or
is.
Damon Albarn.
Fucking,
Damon Albarn.
yeah, that dude.
Punched him?
They fucking fought. Like, they were the two biggest bands in England. And
That's
Liam
fucking
didn't
cool.
like it that people thought that Blur was better. And I think that that's a fucking super stretch to say that Blur is better than Oasis. The only Blur song anybody fucking knows is that Woohoo song, and then that Girls That Like Boys That Look Like Girls, or fucking whatever it is, which was very prophetic.
Yeah, I feel you on liking, like, because a band does some punk rock shit, it makes me like them a little bit more. Like when you see Miley Cyrus and everybody hates on her because she's Hannah Montana or she's doing something stupid, I'm kind of like, she's the most punk rock out of all the fucking pop stars. Or at least she was a couple years ago when she's out there pulling her pussy out on stage, fucking see-through titty t-shirt and fucking...
I started wearing Jordans because of that fucking lunatic.
Really? What happened there?
Well, so I was in a store and there was a pair of retro V2 Jordans, and they were like $45. And I was like, if I buy those, I can tell a joke about how I bought these shoes because of that fucking 23 song.
Doing shit for the story, yeah.
Right, so I was going to just tell that joke, and then I put them on my feet, and I'm like, fuck, these are comfortable. And
Dude, I love Jordans. I can't wear them because I dress like a 14-year-old at a fucking Slayer concert with my spike jackets and chains, but it doesn't match anything I wear. But I swear to God, the one time that I had fucking Jordans, they were the most comfortable shoes without insoles put into them that I've ever worn.
Didn't we go... Wasn't I there when you bought them?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, we
were
went to
at
the mall.
Yeah. It's not a good story for the podcast.
No, it's
but
not.
you
I
were
just
definitely-
remember. I just was throwing it out because I remember it.
You're right, though. That was definitely the first time
Yeah,
that I
you
bought
said you
them.
love those
I
shoes.
fucking love those
the
shoes.
shoes
I
that I'm
put-
wearing now are the only shoes that I have that aren't Jordans. They're Nike running shoes.
Those are comfortable too, though.
So they're
love
so
Nikes.
comfortable.
Didn't that also show how much of a piece of shit she was?
I mean, she's redneck white trash.
I'm fine with that, though.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Redneck white trash, but then for like 2 years she was twerking,
I feel like during
copping
those 2
Jordans,
years.
doing rap
She's
songs.
in her 20s learning.
and then she transferred back into the
How old are you?
redneck
How old are you now?
style. 24.
24. Is there anything you did at 21 that you probably wouldn't do now?
all kinds of shit, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
I mean, she's a kid, dude. I mean, she's.
I thought she was like much older than myself.
Oh, dude, she's our age. She's
No,
learning
she's
how
our
to
age.
become an adult in front of the whole world, and people criticize them for it. Like, what do you mean? I make mistakes every fucking day, and I'm going to continue to for
You know who else I
forever.
love is that fucking Cash Me Outside girl. I follow her
Oh
on,
yeah, I follow her too.
on
She's some
Instagram.
Straight trash.
Oh my god, she's so
She's
fucking
some
funny
straight
on
trash.
accident.
How about that? She's
There's so many-
14, though.
She's got to be 15 now, right?
I don't think so.
I think she's.
The
I think
funniest,
she's 15.
the
now.
funniest argument that I saw on Facebook, like within the last year, was a dude that was like, "I can't wait till she turns 18," and another dude saying
God.
that means you want to fuck a 14-year-old, and he's like, "No, but she'll be 18." He's like, "But it's the 14-year-old you're seeing. Like you don't see her at 18." And these dudes going back and forth, like the dude trying to say he wasn't a pedophile, and the other dude saying that he was a pedophile.
and
Super
you're in there
fucking
like
funny.
this, rubbing your hands together.
I didn't even have to-
"Ooh, good
cracking
troll
your
material."
knuckles.
Didn't even have to jump in. It was
my-
so fucking great.
Get my keyboard fingers ready. Hell yeah.
Dude, yeah, I used to be real bad. Like on Twitter, someone even told me one day, they were like, "You're so negative all the fucking time. Why don't you try to be more positive?" And I was like, "All right, I'll do that." So I started tweeting like positive things, like to Paris Hilton. I was like, "Hey, I think you have a lot of potential for pretty fantastic public suicide."
Damn.
I told Khloe Kardashian, I was like, "Hey, I just want to say, with all the radiator hoses you take up your poop chute, I'm super impressed that you can hold your mud." You know,
I thought you were gonna be.
Jesus.
I thought you were being serious, but like sarcastic. Like how Anal Cunt released that album called. I don't remember what it's called, but they've got songs like
it was
I
called
Respect You
Love
as a-
Songs. Yeah,
I respect you
Your
as a
feelings
woman.
as a woman. Yeah, and a person. Yeah,
It
I
was like
fucking
that.
love Anal Cunt, dude.
I don't
fucking
like their music, but I love what they did.
Yeah, no, the music is terrible. There's no fucking like.
Hiller Was a Sensitive Man is the name of one of their songs to give you an idea.
And then they cover the theme song to Three's Company. You know what I mean? It's fucking.
This entire band is a troll.
and every
It
time,
is. It was meant to be that. And then they did another band called Vaginal Jesus. Are you guys hip to Vaginal
I've heard
Jesus?
that name before.
Not.
They're a straight up 100% white power band, right? Only
wow.
they're doing it as a joke. right? They're doing it to fucking make fun of like white power
It's just
dudes.
a joke, I swear.
They get put on a white power label, and then the dudes that run it find out that they don't really believe any of the shit that they say, and Seth almost got killed over that shit.
What?
Damn.
Yeah, dude.
No fucking way.
Seth
ganked.
Putnam's a fucking maniac. Every time
He was the greatest troll of all time.
Every time they would interview him, though, he'd be like nose full of pills or something. Like the whole interview, he'd be like, "Yeah, so we were fucking, we were down there and fucking." Like every 2 seconds, he's clearing his nose from whatever fucking narcotics he just put into his system. And he does one interview with this black dude, and he put out an album. I'm gonna quote the album directly. Please don't soundbite this and fucking. I'm gonna use a racial.
I already
slur,
know
but
what
it's
you're going
not
to say.
mine.
It's not
Yeah.
worth the risk.
Okay, beating up N-words that sell fake crack is the name of the album. So they put this album out, and that's his whole thing. And he's like high on whatever meth, crack. He did fucking everything.
He died from a heroin overdose.
There's a picture of him on the internet shooting up heroin into his arm at a
Getting his
live
dick
stage
sucked.
performance, getting his dick sucked by the ugliest woman on the face of the planet. And it's that's Seth Putnam in a nutshell. He didn't give a fuck about his life. He made everything a joke. When anybody asked him who his
He was
favorite
like
band
Gigi
was,
Allen without the rape.
yeah, whenever somebody would ask him who his favorite band was, he'd be like Buck Cherry, and
Right?
like 100% serious. Like, for the same reason that you like him, I like him. Just for the fucking punk rock element of just like I don't give a fuck. Like I'm gonna do the same reason that I like David Allan Coe. I like some of his music. I mean, he's a racist fucking misogynistic fuck, but I just like
I don't know that he is anymore. I've heard stories of him trying to buy back those records.
he wasn't. There was black people in the band when he wrote the albums Nothing Sacred. But
Right.
this is a different topic. They want to talk. What's up?
Well, we're getting to the end of the podcast here, and I have to get to going to bed here in about a half hour.
All right.
I really want to get into our last section, which is man to man. Yeah, well, that was weak.
Is this a docking section?
No, kind of.
I don't know that it was before.
Don't fucking
So-
Gavin McGinnis us now.
Man
Don't
to
worry, I got a
man.
little dick. It won't be intimidating.
Man to man is basically our version of Would You Rather, where we can change the rules as much as we want, but you have to listen to it. You can ask as many questions you want after we ask it, and we can change and manipulate it any way we want.
We as in Patrick.
Yeah, mostly.
Mostly
It gets
Pat.
horrible. But they could be, let's say you want to be the best comic in the entire world or have mad cow disease. You have to pick. And then we'll explain that.
It'll be a hard choice.
Right.
So here's my man-to-man. So, if you're at the store and you need a candle for tonight's date, just you need a candle. For some reason, you have to have a candle.
So in the premise of this, a gay man.
No. It's for you. It's for your wife. Your about to be wife.
Your gay wife.
It's the night you're going to propose, and you need a candle. You have to have a candle. Don't ask why you need a candle. You have to have it. But the only sense you can find anywhere is butthole and sweaty crotch. Which one are you going to pick?
My house already smells like butthole and sweaty crotch. I feel like those things are related. I mean,
One smells like the other.
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of bleed over in those scents.
Okay.
How do you really distinguish which one's the smelly crotch and which one's the butthole? This one has a little bit more of the
Butthole's more of
pH
a sour
the vinegar of balls.
Yeah.
And the butthole is more of like a...
schmegma, vinegar, all
There might be
that.
schmegma
There's
in your
schmegma
butthole.
in your butthole?
No. For the sweaty crotch.
This goes back to being a gay man.
So from the sweat, I'm trying to say, so butthole always smells like poo-poo.
Pat's like,
And
my
then
butthole
sweaty-
always smells like semen and amyl nitrate and...
I used to do a joke that was kind of dangerous about eating ass. I said if you guys have never eaten ass, you should definitely try it. And if you're a little worried, just make the first girl you do it to a Muslim girl because they have to wash it religiously, like literally religiously. I don't know, man. I'm probably going with crotch on that
Sweaty
one.
crotch. Okay, here's another one. Would you rather? And this is
Are
my
these
girlfriend
from our
Rachel.
listeners?
No, this one's from Rachel. Would you rather the only way you are able to achieve an orgasm is by riding a motorcycle while receiving a dry handy from two hobos fighting over a sandwich, or wear shoes made out of live fish and every time you stepped anywhere, they played the entirety of Kid Rock's classic
Ba with to ba.
Yeah, that one. Or and they also smell horrific.
You know what? I don't feel like I could afford a motorcycle that would fit two hobos on it as well. So
My
I feel like I would
It's
have to
supplied
get.
to you.
A motorcycle with a sidecar for two
It
hobos.
would have to be
give you a dry
two
handy.
side
It's
cars.
like a tandem bike, but it's a motorcycle.
And if you could afford that, couldn't you afford lube for fuck's sake or spit in their hand?
Well, no, he's
Or
not talking about I can't get laid, but that's the only way that I can achieve orgasm.
Right. You have to be riding a motorcycle, getting a dry handy from two hobos that are always fighting over a sandwich.
But if I got the fish shoes, I can come however I like. I'm going with the fish shoes on that.
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
for sure.
but you have to listen to Kid Rock's album anytime you take a
You know what, man?
step. And it'd be
Confession time. I was an early Kid Rock fan, so
Aren't you also an early juggalo?
I was.
I
You were
wanna get into
Juggalo?
that. We don't
Let's
have-
get into it right now. Let's
Fuck
we got
man to
time.
man. Let's go to juggalo.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
All right, go ahead. Oh wait, are you saying you want to hear one last?
Yeah, I want to hear the Juggalo story.
All right, fuck man to man.
Oh, man,
Juggalos.
I'm like I said, I'm old, dude. And in 1994, like when I was listening to Riddle Box,
He knows the album.
they weren't. I know that album and the one after it and all before it.
A true fan.
I don't know what they've been doing recently, although I did hear the new song that they put out. It's with the beat from Lil Wayne's 6 Foot 7 Foot, which it actually is kind of impressive. Which I guess they finally hired someone to write for them. Violent J is one of the worst rappers in the history of fucking hip hop.
Dude, I know some juggalos that are listening that are ripping their hair out right now.
Oh, dude. Okay, so I'll go even farther into my theory. My conspiracy theory is that Light, the new guy that Psychopathic signed like last year, is writing for Violent J now because that motherfucker cannot rap. He can't. But back then it was fucking crazy. You know what I mean? There was nothing out there like that. It was, if there was a punk rock of hip hop, it was fucking Insane Clown Posse in 1992 to 96. And then when Malenko dropped, I guess Michael Eisner from Disney didn't listen to it until after it was on the shelf because the same day it was dropped, fucking Disney pulled it. I guess they were on Hollywood that time or at Island, whichever one Disney owned. They were on first, and then they went to the other afterwards, and that got them the attention on MTV, and then it fucking spread like wildfire. And then tons of fucking kids that drank Robitussin in trailer parks were like, "I want to be a part of that." And
Gotta get some of that.
How'd you feel about Eminem destroying them after they tried to call him out? Were
well,
you
I mean,
still a
here's
fan?
the thing, though. From what I understand in the history, they actually tried to help him.
Really?
Before, yeah, like actually tried to put him on shows and stuff, and then he put out a song that before he ever had a deal anywhere that was "Fuck ICP" by My CD. This is before he's famous. This is before ICP had the recognition that they had either.
Probably a tape then too.
Yeah,
right?
it was probably a cassette tape. He was probably at a fucking marathon station in Detroit trying to force people to buy it, putting it in their hand like, "Look at that, you touched it, you bought it." You know what I mean? That's my mixtape, motherfucker. Get it in. Which I've been through that situation a bunch, dude.
I was about to say, it sounds like you've been there before.
I'm really good at just putting my hands in the air because they can't put it in your hand if it's in the fucking air. Dope boys used to do that too with some fucking fake ass dope. Put it in my hand and be like, "Hey, that's bought." I'm like, "Not by me. Fuck you." Dude, I used to pull out digital scales on dope boys on the fucking street. Dude, I was crazy as fuck, dude. I had an orange mohawk. I had a fucking machete on my side.
Jesus.
You know what I mean?
You ever use it?
I never. Well, my buddy Adam fucking almost got us an armed robbery charge over a fucking pizza with it once. We used to answer the door with it and fuck with people, right? So we lived on.
How do we have to wrap this fucking podcast? I
Covington?
could talk to him for 6 more hours.
So Adam runs downstairs. We had some trouble with some neighborhood kids, right? So we kept a ball bat and a machete by the door. Adam kicks the screen door open, fucking puts the machete right in the dude's face. The dude drops the fucking pizza and runs. Right?
Oh my!
With the fucking like the heat bag and shit on it. So I had to call Papa John's like, "Hey, I think we accidentally just robbed your driver." And they were like, "Yeah, he's in here fucking freaking out right now." And I was like, "Dude, we thought it was somebody we knew. We were just fucking with him." I was like, "If you send him back up here, I'll give him a big tip and, you know, take the bag, give him his bag back."
He comes
and,
back
and
and chop him in the head.
he was not coming back. He told the manager was like, "You're going to need to bring somebody up here. We're going to call the cops." So I fucking walked 10 blocks to Papa John's, paid for the pizza, gave the dude like a $20 tip, gave him his bag. I was like, "I'm really sorry, dude. It really was an accident. We're just drunk. We were going to fuck with one of our friends. You got here before you were supposed to be here," which never fucking
service was
happens.
too good.
From the Covington Papa John's, you know. But yeah, so back then, Insane Clown Posse was different. It was cool. It was
I have a question about the machete.
okay.
Did you cut your pizza with it?
No pizzas. Where the fuck are you getting a pizza that it's not cut when you get it?
Patrick,
I don't
you
know.
son of a bitch.
Did you ever cut a
who
pizza
the
with a
fuck
machete?
cuts a pizza with a machete?
A machete's not a cutting instrument. A machete's actually a chopping instrument. It's meant to
Breaking
break.
forest down.
Yeah, it's meant to break like bamboo and
You
shit.
ever chopped any vegetables for like dinner? With
Oh
it?
Christ,
With
Patrick!
a
All right, back
machete?
to the
No.
Insane Clown Posse.
So now, as far as hip hop goes, like the guy that I'm really digging is called Ghost Main. Are you hip to Ghost
I know what you're
Main?
talking about. Yeah.
He's a fucking satanic fucking rapper.
I can dig it already.
It's great, dude. He talks about Aleister Crowley and shit all the time. It's very different. It's very interesting. That's one of the things that attracted me to Ghost, is that it was different. You know, it's not the same old shit. It's not. Now, while I listen to a lot of shit with like growly vocals, as I get older, I find myself listening to more and more like fucking like doom and fucking Norwegian black metal and shit.
Yeah.
Amon Amarth.
Amon Amarth is Viking, like mainstream Viking. I love them, but like it's not everybody's cup of tea. But anyways.
But I also find myself listening to fucking like 80s metal, like Running Wild, which is a fucking pirate metal band. And when my buddy Neil first hit me to him, he's like, "You'd be surprised by how many pirate metal bands there are." I'm like, "Well, I'm fucking surprised that there's one." So yeah, you would be right. I am surprised that any exist.
Hailstorm's fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude,
it's great
fucking,
party music. I know you don't drink anymore, but like
Keelhauled is a fucking great song, dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and but anyway, back then, Insane Clown Posse, nobody knew who they were. You know what I mean? Now it's a bunch of dipshits who want to be king of the fucking flea market that jerk off to fucking John Cena. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, dude? And like that first ICP put out a VHS tape that was like Japanese wrestling with them doing the commentary. Like, that was fucking brilliant.
Or when they made their short films. Did you ever see any of those?
I didn't see any of their short films, but I did see the full-length, not major motion picture Big Money Hustlers.
With fucking Jerry Only from the Misfits.
Right, and then the second part to that, which was a Western, Big Money Rustlers.
Yeah, I'm
which
familiar.
is the worst piece of shit ever fucking made.
It's fucking garbage.
Those dudes,
I love it.
Those dudes are different. They think differently. And here's the thing about being different, though. The reason nobody ever thought to do that before might be because it sucks. You know what I mean? Like I deal with that in the vape world quite a bit. They're like, "Oh man, this flavor is really unique." I'm like, "You know why it's unique and you've never seen it before? Because nobody fucking wants that." You know, cactus is becoming big as a flavor. Fuck you, and fuck cactus, and fuck pineapple on pizza. All you weird fucks. It's an acquired taste. No, it's gross.
Yep.
It's gross, and you got used to it. Fuck off. You know. But I find myself not listening to Insane Clown Posse at all now, except for the shit that's like beefing between them and Twisted, because I think that's really funny. If anybody in the music industry is the Democratic Party of the music industry, it's Twisted, because they were given handed a fan base and it wasn't enough, and they left, and now the shit they're putting out is terrible. And Violent J finally got somebody to write for him, because again, he's the worst fucking MC the world has ever fucking known. And I'm counting the early days of Kid Rock when he was rapping about grit sandwiches for breakfast and shit.
Right. There's so much stuff here. I mean, there's so many things, them being criminalized now, but Pat really does.
That shit is out of fucking control. That pisses me the fuck off.
I thought they were decriminalized.
I want to get into that too, but it's such a long discussion. Do you have time for this, or do you have to wrap up?
Unfortunately, I got to wrap it up.
Dude, we'd love to do this again. You're such a fucking good guest.
110%,
This was one of the
I'll
best
come back,
podcasts.
man. I'll try to be funnier next time. Maybe now that we're past all the serious shit.
Well, no, that's cool. Sometimes we got to have a serious
Dude, we'd love to have you
conversation.
back anytime that you want to come on. If you got shit to plug, if you don't,
How soon will this be out?
Next week.
Sunday.
This Sunday. Next weekend, June 9th, I'll be at the Southgate House Revival for an event called Dump Trump, which is like a 10-hour fucking music event. All the proceeds go to a Now, here's the thing. It's called Dump Trump. It's great fucking marketing. A lot of people hate that son of a bitch. But it's the charity is not a political charity. The charity is it's like the Innocence Project, but it's called Proclaim Justice or Proclaim Innocence. I should know.
Innocence Project, for people that don't know it, are trying to exonerate people that are in jail wrongfully.
Wrongfully convicted. And before it was like the Women's Crisis Center or something along those lines. It's always a non-political charity that it goes to, but it's a ton of fun. And me and Glenn Childress and a guy named Justin Schaefer are all doing comedy at it. A guy named Brad Thacker puts it on. This is the third year that we've done it. I've been lucky enough to have been asked to do it all 3 times, and it's a cool event. It's fun. Even if you like Trump, come. You know what I mean? It's not really a political event. I mean, people will say fuck Trump and all that dumb shit, but we're not under the delusion that we're fucking changing the world. You know what I mean? We're trying to have some fun, play some music, tell some jokes, help out a charity. So June 9th, Southgate House Revival, and excuse me, I got the hiccups and shit. In Newport on 6th Street. It's not the Thompson House, it's Southgate House Revival. Mm-hmm. It's a cool venue. Used to be a church. I don't fucking burst in the flames when I walked in. Yeah, dude, there's 3 different stages that are all going to be going at the same time, and we had a ton of fun last year. I don't know what the beer prices are there, but I'm sure the fact that it's in Newport means that it'll be cheap.
I don't know about the other comedians on that lineup, but as far as Jay goes, I've seen him perform twice before, and both shows were fucking excellent. I mean, the last show at the Newport Funny Bone was a little bit of a disaster, but he hosted it, and he fucking did a great job. Laughed my balls off the entire time. Go out and see that. The money goes to a great cause, and you'll hear all the rest of the shit that he's done in the intro. Is there anything else that we need to plug before we get the fuck out of here, boys?
Not that I can think of. Thank you again for coming out, and I'd love to have you back on.
Dude, yeah, I'll come back for sure. I have fun doing this. I had my own podcast for like 2 years. I do 700 WLW almost every week.
Do you have that podcast that you want to plug? Do you still want people to listen?
Yeah, it's all still up. It was called Out of Step, and it was taken from the Minor Threat song Out of Step, because the guy that started it with me, neither of us drank or smoked weed, which was very different than other comics. Not that every single comic does, but majority at least drank, which is a good thing, because usually we get paid in drinks, where I fucking crush them on Red Bull, though. That's what they're like, oh, that you're going to be an easy one. No, I'm not. I'm taking a $5 fucking energy drink every time you'll give me one.
Yeah.
So like at Rock on the Range this past weekend, there was a big monster tub. One day I drank 12 monsters.
Jesus
and they were selling them for
Christ.
$6 a piece.
God damn.
So I got my money's worth out of that shit. That event didn't pay me a ton, but it's like the extra shit that you get that really makes it fucking worth it. I got to hang out with Ice-T and watch a Perfect Circle with Ice-T, which I don't like a Perfect Circle, but I do like Ice-T, so that was kind of cool.
You've got so many good fucking stories, Jay. Thank you so much, like Pat said, for coming on this podcast. We'd love to have you on anytime that you want to come
Sometime
on.
in July, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Open invitation.
We'll work it out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, fuckers. Thank you for joining us on the
thanks.
Bastard Sermon. Peace.
Thank you for...
Are you fucking serious, Patrick? Thank you for listening to another episode of the Bastard Sermon. Luke's going to give you a whole list of places where you can find and follow and listen to us while Patrick sits here in agonizing, crushing embarrassment.
You can follow the Bastard Sermon at Bastard Sermon on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram at the Bastard Sermon. If you want to listen to more episodes of the Bastard Sermon, we are on Stitcher, Player FM, Libsyn, iTunes, Castbox, and now recently we are on RockStarsGlued3.0.com. Check them out.
Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that shit.
But don't go to Twitter, because we never update that shit, because we don't give a fuck about Twitter.
Yeah,
Fuck you, Twitter.
Yeah.
As of now.
All
But
right.
that could change. At the Bastard Sermon. And if you really want to go to the Twitter and make that shit happen, it's at Bastard Sermon, because some fuckhead took the from us. All right.
That cunt.
That does it. Anything else we need? Did you tell them we're on Spotify now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
All right. Let's go. Bye.
See ya, bitches.